What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is the holiday season, and you're probably looking for a gift for people you care about. I'm telling you, nothing says I care about how you feel, how you look, the comfort, the quality, more than a Muskox flannel for the guy in your life. Go to gomuskox.com, and where Couch in the Rube listeners can use the promo code PEACOCK for $15 off their flannel purchase. I am looking at the dust blue grand flannel right now. I think this is what I am going to ask for Christmas because, I don't know, I think my eyes will pop when I wear it. So your eyes can pop too. You can lose at least 2 chins. It's just, I'm telling you, you feel good, you look good. I had to go snow blow this weekend and then come back in and didn't want to be all sweaty and gross and everything. You know, just did the whole thing in a great Muskox flannel. GoMuskox.com. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Hey, so you should totally hit that like button and subscribe to Couch in the Rube on YouTube. Seriously though, if you don't, Santa's literally gonna skip my house this year. And Graham Couch? Yeah, he's threatening to catnap my precious kitty. So come on, help a girl out.
Hey, buddy. Happy holidays.
Fantastic.
It's our new YouTube like and subscribe promo for the month of December here.
Well, appreciate
it.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's
you guys could do that, like and subscribe to this lovely YouTube thing we have going.
Quite a threat. I will steal your cat. So that is something. There's evidence of that. I cannot deny.
You can't stop AI from doing stuff like that. They can just know me and know that you steal cats and, you know.
Yeah. Borrow
And by
cats.
the way, can I mention something else off the top here? What makes you the best? What absolutely made my weekend and drove my wife nuts? Because I couldn't stop repeating it. And it's a little personal because it is our private conversation, our text group.
That's okay.
With Andrew. Andrew and Monica were out eating yesterday.
From Groovy Donuts.
From Groovy Donuts, our friends. And they were out at a Mexican restaurant in the East Lansing area. And Andrew texted Graham and I and said, Greg and Dawn are at a table over from us at a Mexican restaurant in East Lansing. And Couch responded with, that's amazing. That's so chill. I'd like to do a profile on them. Fucking, dude, I love you, man. You are the best. Everything was, that's so chill. Anything T said, that's so chill. You were the whitest man alive, dude. Why is that chill? Because people that are worth $1 billion just like to have Mexican food. Like, where would you go?
If you were Dragon Dog Williams, yeah. Well, no, because
they're from Langsburg. They're normal people. But I'm saying, even if you're rich, though,
right? Well,
you're
not out at like Dusty's and Okemos. You know, no offense to Dusty's. I love Dusty's, but I'm just saying
Dusty's is nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's
upscale for me.
It's no casting company or Front 43 or Midtown Brewing Company, but it. You know, that's what I mean. That's sort of the hoity-toity.
But I'm asking, like, for Mexican food. I like Mexican food, and if I was worth $1 billion, I think I would go to the same spot that treated me well. And
they were not at a place that you would consider authentic Mexican food. That's what I loved about it. It's just this idea that these
Taco Bell.
two people who, this Langsberg couple, is out of Anyway,
that's so chill.
Yeah, well, my voice makes it worse. That's the problem.
I could not do it in the voice. Yeah. And every time T would just be like, okay, all right, we get it.
I would like to do a profile on him. I'm trying to make that happen.
I understand. I just thought it was fascinating. I love it because anyway.
I enjoy that. I enjoy when people who seem like they're in another stratosphere behave like real people.
But outside of your douchiness, I was actually thinking about it because I was like, man, if you were rich, like I don't even know, like, where's the rich people Mexican food at? Like, where would you go in a restaurant in the Lansing, East Lansing, around us? Like, is there like a cantina joint I don't know about that's like $100 a plate? Like, I don't understand.
Well, and part of the thing with great Mexican food is it's not usually expensive. It's not usually ritzy. Like, if the neighborhood you're in, isn't it all sketchy? There's a chance it's not good Mexican food.
Right.
I tell people, like, people go to the East Lansing LS, and I love the East Lansing LS, but the West Side is where it's at, man.
And the chips, they kind of knock out your dental work.
But
people love the chips, but
the West Side's where it's at. Like, there's the real LS, and then there's the East Lansing LS, and you do what you want. But like,
so if they were on the west side of the state, you really would have
West Side of Lansing,
excuse me, you would have really lost your mind if Greg and Don Williams.
No, totally different. I might have accosted them. Yeah, I might have had to go up and welcome them.
I just would like to ask them, like, why do you guys ever leave your house? Like, your house must be amazing. I wouldn't see any reason. I guess you just want to get out and see some people.
Yeah,
that's so chill. Anyway. All right, man. Good to see you. Happy Monday and all that.
Same.
Yeah, Duke blows. All right, that sucked. Let's get to that. Huh?
I think this is going to be a good show. And what's interesting about this show is I was going through the takes. I think the back half, the last few minutes of the show are actually going to be pretty good too. I think there's some really good takes.
Hopefully we get to them,
deep into the show. We will. We started early enough today. We should be good. And but the back half of the show I really liked, and sometimes they just come together that way, and you're putting them together.
I believe have a Neil Koepke interview he's got to get to. We might want to.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
All right, do you want to start?
No, go ahead. I don't really have much. I mean, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I want to hear about. I'm not disappointed in this Duke loss, but go ahead. Like, I'm not disappointed. I'm bummed, but I'm not.
Yeah, I
feel like Michigan State beat themselves in this thing.
What I wrote was, I think, for Michigan State, disappointing, not discouraging. And we have seen discouraging losses from Michigan State basketball over the years. You've seen games in the Champions Classic and other times against top-tier opponents where you just went, they're just not as good as them. That's a problem. That creates a ceiling. And that's the worst kind of loss, when you know your team's ceiling early in a season. Like, that team cannot beat that team.
Especially with only 5 turnovers. I would have bet a lot amount of money if I would have known. If you would have said, dude, they're only going to have 5 turnovers against Duke, and I would have just hammered State money line.
The big difference between this Michigan State team and last year's, and you could argue that last year's would beat this year's, but I'm just saying this is the difference that gives them a chance to have a higher ceiling, is like athletically in terms of length on the perimeter and defense in the interior, they're just better. And so I go back to that Auburn game in the Elite Eight, and I was sitting outside the arena in Atlanta before that game, and there were a few of us who covered the team. There were 2 of us, Sean Windsor and I, who know ball, and then there was everybody else.
Graham.
And we were all talking about our picks for that game, and everybody was picking Michigan State for whatever reason. I don't know, but we had watched enough of Auburn. We had seen them, warm up. We had seen the games. Sean and I just knew it was like it's not that Michigan State can't beat them on a certain day, I guess.
You need a miracle.
But, yeah, just the size, the length, that was going to be a tough matchup for them. And Michigan State last year had a lot of skill on the perimeter, had better ball handling on the perimeter than they do now. This year's team really has Jeremy Fears Jr. and then Noel Devine off the bench. Noel Devine. Devine Ugochukwu. Who's Noel Devine?
I don't know.
Hold on. That feels like that's a player.
Look that up.
Did he?
Oops.
I don't know.
Nope. Gotcha.
He was
Porn star.
No. He was a running back. I forgot. He was a running back at West Virginia, like back in the day with this is like mid 2000s. Back in the day with who was the coach at West Virginia? Went to Michigan. What's his name?
Larry Eustace.
God damn it.
Rich Rodriguez.
Rich Rodriguez. Thank you. Noel Devine was like the freshman running back on that great team. Devine Ugochukwu But so they don't have as much ball handling, and that could become an issue and all that. And I'm not saying there aren't elements of last year's team that were better, and certainly Jace Richardson gave them something in terms of a bucket-getting guard that they don't have now. But what they do have now is, and if they lean into this identity, they have, I think, the chance to be, and they already are a lot, an elite defensive team that's pretty good offensively as long as Jeremy Fears is playing well. And this is why I think Jordan Scott becomes your primary and closing guard, and we're seeing that because that's leading into that identity. They don't have another two-guard who does other things well enough in terms of getting buckets and making shots, at least yet that we've seen, to supplant the idea that you go all in with Jordan Scott. And if you can get him to make enough shots, and I think that will improve as the season goes along, I don't know to what degree, that a 6'6" to 6'8", whatever he is, he's listed at 6'8", he's somewhere in between there. But a guy with that kind of length, with that kind of grit, a guy who's aggressive like that on the perimeter, what he does and what he adds, I think feeds into everything you are as a team and have been early on. And I'm not saying you start him necessarily. And I think we'll get into this in the takes, this is a little bit of a misnomer in that. Like I would still, I think, start Kurteng, to be honest with you, because I think he's a guy who some days will hit shots and other days won't, and he hasn't shown it consistently enough to be, but you can bail on that pretty quick. You know, it's like they've had this with big men before where you can tell real quick. You saw it last year with, God, I'm forgetting everybody's name. Who was the guy last year on their team? Oh, my God. Give me some Hoff real quick.
Sissoko?
No.
Nope.
This is the worst show ever.
Some would say.
Yeah.
Be accurate.
Oh, Zapala. Yeah. Oh, God, well, that's
Z.
bad.
How'd you forget about Z?
I know. He was the last player from last year's team I saw over the summer briefly. It was just like Greg and Don Williams was at an establishment having a drink with his fiance and just chatted for a little bit.
That's so chill. They're just like us. Unbelievable.
But you could see games that weren't for him last year, and then games where he could be really helpful. I think there with Kurteng, you can.
But with Kurteng, how can you get some rhythm though if you're him? If you know there's a short, somewhat leash on there.
Well, that's
helpful to him.
He's just going to have to be good enough to figure that out because you don't have time to just. This isn't a Kurteng. Let's bring him along. He's the only answer guy. Right. Jordan Scott has earned those minutes. He just makes him a better player, and a better team. And they've had 2 games this year that came down to the wire. That's it. 2 games down to the wire. Arkansas and Duke. And those are the 2 games that he played 25 and 26 minutes and 16 and 15 minutes in the second half and played pretty much to the end. Like, it is clear now when the coaching staff is sort of pressed to put its best lineup on the floor late in games that he's part of it. So I still think he's part of your closing lineup. But we saw against Kentucky, we've seen moments where Kurteng can be a shot maker. And if he starts like that, make him a bigger part of that game. If it starts well, that's fine. I still think from a confidence standpoint for him, for who he can be, I still would start him. And then if it's just not working, I'd bail on it. But I didn't think that game was like, did you think they couldn't beat Duke on any given day? No, I think they can beat Duke a lot of given days. Now, that was a home game. If it's in, if it was a true road game or a neutral site, it would be a little different game. But
it gave you reassurance that you can play with the big boys now. Like you said, you were mentioning the Auburn game, and you knew that you had no shot. I didn't think that. But what scares me is I'm just looking for that scorer in crunch time. I thought they did well against Cam Boozer, got him into foul trouble. Should have gotten fouled out with that hook late in the second half there. But, and then he ended up getting his into the stat line. But I thought in the first half and then somewhat in the second half, the start of the second half, they did well on him, and then he just did whatever he kind of wanted to do. And then Michigan State couldn't get a bucket, and that goes on Cohen Carr. I love Cohen Carr. He's my guy, but I got to say, we needed a better performance out of him for sure.
Well, that is their.
But it just chaps your ass to lose to Duke. Like it just you beat yourself, and those losses like hurt worse than anything else, other than a 20-point loss at home like that. But man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It's chaps your ass is the way people a lot of feel. Yeah, no,
5 fucking turnovers.
They played well.
Can't beat Duke.
They played well in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and it was interesting. I was talking to Jackson Kohler after the game in the locker room, and because he had 4 threes, and hit 4 of 5 in the first half, but then in the second half, Duke changed his defense. I mean, John Shire, their head coach, said it kind of stunned them, kind of shocked them, and they knew they had to adjust to Kohler. And that's good. The problem is then you've got to be able to take advantage of that. And the zone, again, was something that bothered MSU. They did work on it. Practice on Thursday. I mean, they were working with Kohler, top of the high post. They were working on – it's not like they don't work on this stuff. I do think one thing that hurts MSU against the zone is they never play it, and so they don't practice against it daily unless it's like the upcoming team. It's not something they see all the time. But I think this used to be the case with Syracuse in the ACC and the Big East before that. Syracuse would have these NCAA tournament runs because they'd play all these teams that just hadn't seen them, but teams that play them all the time had no problem with them. One thing that Jackson Kohler talked about was he's got to get better at finishing inside. He's got to work in the gym. He's got to continue to – because that outside shot, while I think it's tremendous, and I think it's something that really helps an MSU team that, we don't know 100% in their shooting from the two guard. Jeremy Fears isn't the purest a shooter, although he's been okay shooting threes. Had a bad game, obviously, here. But when you have a guy who can stretch a defense like a Jackson Kohler, and that's becoming more and more consistent and with more and more volume, that's really important. But they need him to score those buckets inside. They need him to do that. They need Cohen Carr to be consistent. There are elements of his game that are not – he's not somebody who can just, put it on the deck, cross you over, and get to the rim. That's not his game yet. But they got to find ways to use him. He's got to be aggressive at the glass. He's got to hit his free throws. I think they're fine. They are not a perfect team, and so they just need to make sure that their deficiencies don't bite them. And to me, to avoid that, you lean into what makes you great. Like if you want to be truly elite at something, Jordan Scott's on the floor with you because that makes you potentially a truly elite defensive backcourt and defensive team. They could have won this game if they got a few calls differently. And I think also if Cam Ward had been healthy, I think he makes a big difference in this game. And they need to make sure that wrist injury isn't something that's lingering. You got Penn State on the road, who I think they can beat without Cam Ward. You've got Toledo at home. You've got Oakland. I'm not playing him in those games if he's healthy and ready to go. And then you got a 9-game break. But if there's at any point he just needs to sit for a little bit to make sure that thing's 100%, this is the absolute time to do so. What is your first take?
The American way, except America has gotten soft.
Were you sick of all the after they announced the college football playoff bracket? How quickly I saw that you were tweeting, but but I mean, you were saying things that I agreed with, but I'm just sick of I can't believe, and I always say, I feel like everybody should kind of know what I know because I'm such a dumb guy. I feel like people know what I know, but it just shocked me yesterday to notice all the people that covered college football were shocked that this system is broken and it didn't work when we knew before the season or when the NIL and all of this stuff and all the money grabbing was going to take place with no system in place, that it was going to be an absolute shit show by December or January. And why are we all up in arms and going crazy and Notre Dame not playing a bowl game and these guys, and I heard in Drew Lane's show, and Mark, he's a Michigan fan that's on that podcast, but he was talking about how Notre Dame should play in the bowl game because of the practices. I'm so sick of that shit.
Nobody cares about
Nobody cares about effing practices anymore. Stop with the pure college football feelings and all that. All that shit is gone and out the window now. These guys can't wait to line their fucking pockets. No one has any answers. The NCAA is broken. Well, so why are we angry at Notre Dame not getting in? I get that. North Texas and having Tulane in there, get them the fuck out. I don't understand Joey Galloway's telling me they have no shot, but then they should be in the college football playoff. If they have no shot whatsoever, why should they be in the college football playoff?
They have to be in the college football playoff. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this is
going to be 16 teams anyway.
It's going to change, and they'll fix it. And right? They've done it before. Like for a while, it looks like there was no common sense forever. They had this 4-team playoff with 5 major conferences that's like, having 5 children and feeding 4. It just was dumb, right? Right. There are lots of dumb things with this going on. And then all of a sudden it was fixed really well, this 12-team playoff. Common sense, I think, will prevail at some point because there are a number of things that have to happen or could happen to help it. But you cannot eliminate the little guy because, and this is for the sake of the big guy. This is the sake for Michigan State, for Michigan, for Ohio State, for Alabama, because those eyeballs matter. If you kill the dream on those smaller schools, and I've said this before, then those eyeballs get more and more turned off. And collectively, you need the whole country watching this. This is where the television contracts come from. You get Dan Wetzel out here saying, everybody's still watching the bowl games. Maybe the ratings are being juiced. I haven't watched a bowl game in several years. I don't get because
what bowl games, Dan?
Yeah,
Tell me which one.
And he's saying because of the gambling. You can't gamble on these games because there's so many opt-outs. These aren't the same teams. Like you'd have to be insane to bet on this.
Because Harry Gagnon bets on it doesn't mean everybody's betting on it.
Somebody's juicing the ratings if these ratings are still high. These are not real ratings. But beyond that, you need those. You need the general population of the sport and the fan bases of all the little guys. It goes for college basketball and football, feeling engaged because then they take part because they can live the dream. They'll watch James Madison because they think that's their team someday. Even if and you earn the right, and it's a fun story, and it doesn't have to be all behemoths. Somebody's getting left out in the back end, and what's harder in this than I think college basketball is some of these back end teams might have a legitimate chance at winning it, where in college basketball that's not usually the case. But what ultimately made this so bad is a couple things. One, Notre Dame's not in a conference, so they there seems to be this spite against them for that. But they also, for a long time, were ahead of Miami. And then without playing, they flip. That sort of – this goes back to Mississippi State, Michigan State in 2014 in the final playoff selection committee rankings, all of a sudden flipping. Like right back then should have been nipped in the bud. Not doing that bullshit. There's no new data points. The rankings are what the rankings are. The problem is the committee's not very good at explaining themselves, number one. Number two, it's supposed to be hard to get in the playoff right now. So what if there's only 10 spots or 11 spots beyond the Power 5 schools? That should be plenty. We went with 4 forever, and people were almost less up in arms than they are right now. There's a lot to fix. Number one, they've got to get college football, the calendar earlier. By the time the national championship games happen, I'm so done with it. I'll watch the game. I'm not saying I won't watch the game, but I'm not watching the lead up. There's like this 9-10 day break after a semifinal. There's so few teams left. I'm on the NFL playoffs. I'm on the college hoops. I'm watching Premier League. I'm watching college hockey. I just don't give two shits about college football other than watching the game that night. And it's just too late. Got to end it by January 1st. That's got to happen. The other thing that they could do to make this better is there was a day and age where you could go 7-4 back when they had 11 teams and miss a bowl game. So even the secondary bowls had a little more oomph, a little more cachet. It was like you made a bowl game. That was kind of cool. There are too many bowls, and for a long time that was fun. Now it doesn't work. And to me, if you could go 7-5 and still probably not make a bowl game or beyond the edge, that would make making a bowl game as a secondary thing to the playoff a little more special. That would be one way to do it. But ultimately, you got to start the season earlier. You got to fix the calendar. There's lots of stuff with recruiting and all that. And then you probably do have to go to a 16-team playoff. But ultimately, you can't leave out the little guy. And Notre Dame needs to.
Even though they have no shot to win, you still want teams like that in to face the 1 seed, to get
100%.
Blown out.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Even though we worry about player safety and all this boring blah, blah shit, worried about the players
because
playing too many games.
Michigan, Ohio State, they won't have 20 years from now, they will not have a television contract like they do now that can pay for what they do if they don't have the collective eyeballs of the country on them. They will lose eyeballs if they do not. The college football playoff will not be worth as much if you can't just make it a really selective group that can get in and not be surprised when people don't watch and people don't care. You need those people to care. That's my opinion, at least, on it. All right. That was sort of one of my takes.
Right.
I got one more.
Go for it.
It's a college hockey take, and I think I'm going to write this as part of a column.
Ooh.
The Big Ten needs to add another team badly, and they've got to work on the college hockey calendar. Michigan State's home schedule is just about done for the year already. It's the beginning of December. Hockey is a winter sport. MSU has 6 more home games. That's it. If you've got season tickets, if you're thinking, Michigan State looks good, January's coming, I'm going to get into hockey. They don't play again at home till January 23rd. They play an exhibition early in the year season. And then because the Big Ten has an odd number of teams, you get these really inconvenient buys just as the season's ramping up. So in the middle of February, Michigan State has a weekend off. Like the middle of February. And then you get to the postseason and there's just all this time. The momentum is just killed from all of it. And they've got to add a team. Anybody. You've already added Notre Dame, so anybody's happy to come in. Western Michigan would be happy to come in. Pick the team. Somebody's happy to come into the Big Ten. You can make it a bigger power than that in hockey, but Western Michigan just won a national title, and they're just down the road from several Big Ten teams. Would be an easy commute, and they would be thrilled to come in. So do that, first of all. It takes care of the bye. And then they need to – I get they take this break for these international competitions a little bit, and they need to fix that. You start October 1st. You don't need to start that early. And then you take this massive break. And the fact that Munn Ice Arena, other than an exhibition game, is going to go from like the first week in December to January 23rd without a home game is ridiculous. That should never be the case. You got to fix that. I don't know. It's just dumb.
When you say they, like, is there like someone out there? What are they doing right now on a Monday morning? Are they like cracking? No, seriously, they having a conversation of how poorly their sport is run.
I don't think they realize it because they still have single elimination in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament.
Really?
So I think you got the wrong people running this thing. That's my take. But I am going to find out a little bit more on like how this comes to be and why, because it's not good for the sport. It just sucks for college hockey. The best of college hockey is kind of done until the postseason at this point.
We need a commission of common sense for college football and college hockey.
I would like I would like you to be on that commission.
I think I can just give my point of view, and you can either take it or just go, what does he know?
Yeah,
common sense guy. Need one.
I like where you're.
Let's go green, go God.
Let's go green and go God.
By the way, you sent a picture out that I enjoyed over the weekend.
I did.
It was with Rico Beard.
Fuck yeah.
Peering.
I texted you that.
Yeah, texted me.
Yeah.
Peering over Matt Ishbia or Greg Williams, right? Was that who it was?
Yeah,
and,
there was like a little scrum on the court prior to the Duke game, and Michigan State basketball, or someone posted it on Twitter.
Okay.
And I just happened to see, I think Dominic did something with it too, but I saw it maybe off one of theirs. And Rico is like, you see his head hovering over, and he's looking over at Greg Williams and Ishbia, trying to like lean into the conversation.
I don't even know if he's supposed to be on the court. Rico just goes where Rico wants to go.
Exactly. You gonna tell him he can't be there?
No, nobody's gonna do that. Right.
Rico's racist if you kick him off the court.
Nobody brought race into it. I don't know where do you come with racist?
I'm just saying. There was an incident way back in the day.
Okay, now
we were at a live. We did a live. This is when I was working with Schuling, and we all as a station, we did a live remote from it was a restaurant, right? And it was a restaurant where you would go up and order yourself. So there was no waiter, waitress, or anyone. So Rico, of course, shows up late to do his show and sits down to order something to eat, right? Because his show's coming up after our show. So Rico doesn't see anybody coming over to wait on him. So all of a sudden he gets up and leaves, and everybody's like, where did Rico go? So I'm back here in the booth, ready. We're doing the show. I got to run the board here. I also did Rico's show after that. So he comes in. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, man, they're racist down there. They wouldn't even take my order. I'm like, dude, there's no waiter or waitress. You go up to the counter and order. And the look on his face, he was just like, you could tell he was making a decision. Like, shit, do I go back? Now I look like a complete ass. And he ended up doing the show here. Everyone else did the show there, and then Rico is in the studio. So
that is tremendous.
That's why I'm sorry. I forget that people don't know what I know in my stupid brain, so I tell that now I have to tell the story. But
if you want a great wait staff, by the way, that is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, where everybody gets waited on. And fantastic menu, great drink selections. And they would love to host you or your holiday party. They have spots open for large or small groups. They have catered food options, drink ticket options. You can call 517-977-1349 to reserve your dates, or just make it a private party. You and your spouse, you and your significant other. It's a cozy, great place to have a good meal. Enjoy downtown Lansing, or just it's right off. It's right off 496. Even if you don't want to spend a whole lot of time downtown, you just pop on in, and I'm telling you, you will love the vibe. You'll love the menu. They'll take care of you at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
All right, Eric Schultz up first. Number one, Graham's first take on Saturday was dead on. This MSU loss to Duke was disappointing, not discouraging. And two, I don't love bringing back Joe Rossi. Oh, yeah, that was not your first hot take? Michigan State's defense is back?
So
Rossi coming back. Man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were going to owe him a fair bit of money. Rossi's been a Big Ten guy for a while, and I think Fitzgerald probably has a a track record of that. I think things went well late.
But it's not because of the money or the payout that is.
I do not think if Pat Fitzgerald wanted somebody else for his defensive coordinator, had somebody in mind that he really wanted, I am pretty sure that Jay Batt would not say, no, this is your guy. I think Joe Rossi is a pretty respected defensive coordinator, but I understand, like, if you go back to the early part of the season, the defense just looked so bad, and he didn't seem to have an answer. Now, I think a lot of that was personnel, but I really thought before we were having conversations about the end of Jonathan Smith's tenure coming so quickly, I was writing that for MSU fans to recognize the program they fell in love with, they needed to fix the defense. Like, that had to become a priority. There were areas of improvement last year, but a lot of that's going to be personnel. I would like to see Joe Rossi. Like, I think he's a decent coordinator, maybe a really good coordinator. And I would like to see him with better personnel and what that looks like. And you can make that call then a year from now if it doesn't work out. But I don't mind it.
By the way, I don't mind it as well, but I want to know what level of loyalty does Fitzgerald have? Like, I don't mind it if you can make a move if it's not working.
Yeah.
Like, in season, what are you going to do? Are you going to be loyal to a guy, keep him around too long? Because I don't mind if you want to try to make moves. It's just how loyal are you going to be?
Well, Rossi's not a Fitzgerald. It's not like he's part of Fitzgerald's tree. Okay? Sure. And he's also, Fitzgerald's a defensive guy too, so that will be interesting. But yeah, no, I didn't, and I also like this. Where I like this move as much as, because I think there are probably a lot of good coordinators out there, and I think Rossi is one of them. But in terms of keeping this roster together and keeping guys on that defense that you maybe, the Jordan Halls of the world or any young players that you think that, Rossi had a relationship with those guys. They responded to him. And if you're trying to keep a roster together to have a chance next year, I think, and you like the coordinator well enough, I think it's a decent move.
Dominic next, number 1, Graham. I think Fitz is a good hire. I don't need you quoting Connor Stallion's opinion to validate it. That clown, a slimy, cheating penis, and I will not hear him referenced as any type of authority. And 2, Packers are such bitches, man. Really thought the fighting teacups.org were going to pull out another one out. Between Brady's leather scarf and Matt LaFleur's haircut, I had this strange urge to make a spinach and artichoke bread bowl and download Grindr. 3, MSU calling little to no set for Jax down the stretch was a bit of a dick kick. He was like Goran Sutan and A.J. Granger's love child in that first half. Feed the boy. And bonus, Couch and the Rube needs to get an endorsement with a local Mexican restaurant. That would be so chill, man.
Appreciate you, Dominic.
That would be so chill.
So he was in on it, apparently.
I did have to tell him, yes. Okay, I was very excited. And, T and Dominic got the the first announcement of
excellent
being the whitest person alive.
Although
they know that.
I think with Kohler, anytime you have a guy who makes 4 threes and a half, you got to make sure he gets some shots in the second. And you got to do some things to make him get – like they were taking that away, and he was not getting those same looks. He passed up, I thought, maybe 1. I don't know if he's quite in the heat check mode yet, but you got
to be feeling it though.
You've got
threes like
you've
that.
You've got to make sure.
Come on, ball. You play ball.
You got to make sure he gets another one or
two.
That
high hand going. Is anybody not passing you? If you hit 4 threes in your intramural, right?
I'd be yelling at Izzo.
Exactly.
I'd have my hand on his throat. I'd be
give me the rock.
Man, give me the ball.
I might not shoot a 3, but it's going in somewhere on this court.
Yeah. It'd be reverse Bobby Knight with that. Anyway.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Ken Chu. James Madison is in the college football playoffs, and the losingest program in the history of college football is the number 1 overall seed. Anything is possible. All you need is $401 million. How about your boy Siggy?
He's got James Madison in his old team, and his new team is number 1. That was.
Are you going to show some respect now?
I have respect.
Put some respect on his name.
I think he is, in 2 years, done maybe the greatest coaching job in college football history.
Whoa.
Right? I mean,
wow. All right. There's a 180.
It's up there. I just don't love the scheduling at the beginning of the year. That's all it is. And frankly, now that teams are being, you could argue, punished for losing games early in the year to other top teams, and they're losing other games. Let's not act like Texas was a perfect team all year. But I do worry that that's going to be the route more people
But when
go.
you get hired, you get on the microphone at the basketball game in Bloomington and say Michigan sucks, Ohio State sucks, and then 2 years later you do it? What the fuck, man? Yeah, I guess you're right. It might be the greatest coaching thing of all. Like,
it's incredible. It's incredible,
wow.
and because it's not just, we've seen teams before have like quick turnarounds with great offensive minds and a good quarterback and some wideouts, and all of a sudden they can put up points and they're interesting, but they're not winning. They were beating Ohio State at the line of scrimmage. That's what's amazing about it. Defensively, they held Ohio State to 10 points. Like, that's incredible. And then that third down call, that pass at the end of the game when it's 3rd and 6, and you're trying to, end the game. You've got the ball and you're up 3, and they throw that perfect pass. I mean, Mendoza won the Heisman right there. And it was incredible.
The past 2 years at Michigan State, if Ryan Day was the coach and not Jonathan Smith, how many wins? How many wins does it add Ryan Day?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? It's just weird to shit on a guy that wins that many games, won a natty, and then you just look at him, you go, I don't trust this dude ever.
I'm not shitting on Ryan Day.
I'll shit on him. I mean, come on, man. He loses some interesting ways.
I think they lost to maybe the best team in the country. I don't have a problem with that. I think Indiana and Ohio State legitimately might be the best 2 teams in the country.
What about losing to Michigan last year, though?
Oh, that's still.
Come on, man. Ken Chu. No. Spartan 18770. Number 1, the only way for the lesser bowls to survive is to align themselves with the college football playoff, which means get ready for 32-plus teams in the playoffs in the near future. And 2, with Indiana winning Saturday, there is no longer a honeymoon period for coaches. Win now or get fired.
So a couple things here. One, the bowls will just go away. They will. I don't think they'll get to 32 teams, but they would go away before that, because teams, the travel component of this and for fan bases, like if you got a 32-team playoff, and again, I don't think we're going there because you're talking 5 rounds. Think about that. The champion's playing 5 more games after the regular season. I think, I'm not saying we can't get to 24 in some era where there are a lot of buys and some teams in the beginning have, but I think 24, even in an insane world where people don't do common sense things. And I'm not advocating for 24. I wouldn't go that big. I'm just saying 24 is the biggest I could ever see it getting to, where, the top 16 had buys. Ugh. And then there were not 16. Would that be right? No. We top 8 had buys, and then you had, that would be insane. But given what we're watching and just the lack of logic and anyway, and the second part of this, Cignetti is. The good news for other coaches is Cignetti has now done something that's so hard and rare and ridiculous that I think we're all recognizing that. So the expectation for a while was like, look how good Indiana's gotten. Now it's like, okay, that's not real. Like, you can't expect that. Like, they've just done something at a level. He's almost won himself out of the level where.
But it makes other teams believe that you can do it, though. I think it's good for college football, obviously.
I think Izzo got a lot of college basketball coaches fired because he took over a middling program. And he didn't do it right away, but then won a national title within 5 years and then sustained a program. And everybody out there, if you're the Iowa States of the world or wherever you are, you're thinking, boy, that could be us. That's what happens. That could be us syndrome is happens.
And isn't that bigger than having a James Madison and Tulane in and seeing a guy like Cignetti turning a program like Indiana around? That makes me want to watch and
100%.
Believe more than, let's watch Tulane and James Madison and all these other schools that have no shot. The college experts that tell me that they have no shot. Let's keep watching them to give me hope about a national championship. Or I'll watch a guy like Cignetti, who's a 60-year-old nerd, say that he's getting on a microphone saying he's going to kick everybody's ass. They suck.
He's a great story, but that great story isn't always there. But you're right. That is the only team. I was booking travel for the Michigan State's game against Nebraska on like January 2nd the other day. And all I cared about, it was yesterday because all the brackets were out. And the reason I had waited was I wanted to know when certain teams were going to play in the playoff, because my travel back day, or one of the days, I'm forgetting now, traveled 2 day. The day I travel to there.
Whenever you come back.
No, it's the day up. The day I travel there could be potentially a college football playoff day. And so I want to see Indiana play. And one of the flights was potentially going to be during the Indiana game. And unless Delta's going to promise me a television, I'm going to book a different flight. And so that's what they become to me. They are the interesting team that I want to see, and almost nobody else in the playoff. I'll watch the playoff as it goes on, but nobody else to me is a
so
point.
You don't. You're admitting that you don't care about the Tulanes and.
I'm not saying I care, but the smaller guy.
But you
cares.
should have them. You need to have them to build.
Yeah, it's not my eyeball; it's everybody else's eyeball.
Nobody cares. If you don't care, then why would anyone else care? Because you
no. Because we live in this big school. Look, I used to be this guy, and one of the reasons I am a good voice on this is I grew up here. I remember watching Michigan State play Central Michigan in the 90s and thinking,
yeah, but your glory days are over, old man. This is new football.
Hold on. What I'm saying is I grew up in a area where I thought of the MAC and the small schools as I could play there, maybe. Like I just delusion. We have this sense of like that's a totally different level, that those fan bases don't matter. And then when you go and cover them and you live in their communities for a while, you realize how different that is and how important those eyeballs are. I'm just saying you can't completely – half of college football is non-Power 4. You cannot rule them out entirely, or you're going to lose eyeballs on the whole thing, and that's going to hurt financially. It is better to not have – financially, long-term, it is better to have Notre Dame miss one playoff than to have all the small schools believe they can never get there.
What about the sports betting burnout, too? I think a lot of people are, in the next 5 years are going to, where it's legal, you're going to get burned out by the gambling stuff.
Well,
because they're making it to where you can't even bet on some, especially the NFL or, some of these college games, you can't even bet on it.
What do you mean you can't bet on it?
It's just the way just the number. Yeah. Like Vegas is too good. They're squeezing you. There's too much juice. You can't win. I mean, how are people for 5 years straight just going to keep dumping money off? I mean, sure, there's going to be a certain amount.
People are pretty.
But people are going to get, but I mean, there's going to be people like me that are going to be like, well, I don't want to keep just dumping money away at this. I'm going to wait till golf and then dump money then and not during college football.
No, I'll be honest. I mean, the Australian Open is going on during the college football playoff, and I can win more doing that. I'm probably going to do that.
Yeah. DMB next. The best quarterbacks in college football are the ones that aren't pressured. Julian Sand turned into a pumpkin in real time. Makes you wonder what Childs could do with a real offensive line and how Milivojevic, E-Dog, was without one.
I love it.
Milivojevic. Bonus, the Big Ten stinks. OSU and Indiana deserve their rankings, but worry of lack of competition all year will leave them unprepared to win it all.
Well, playing each other is pretty good competition, and I think they both saw a team as good as anybody they're going to face. And so I don't think that. I do agree the Big Ten's not great, but and I think there is an issue with. The Big Ten is not great. It's you got to unless you're Iowa, which seems to be happy with where they are, which is weird.
Big Ten plus is ass.
It's not amazing. To the quarterbacks part, this is a very true thing about a lot of quarterbacks. It's one of the reasons that I'm curious about Milivojevic is because he hung in there so well and took hits and made throws late. I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback, but I do want to see what he looks like when he's not under pressure all the time. But also, if that winds up being a superpower for him, like it was for Connor Cook for a while, because that can really be a separator. And you're right. There are a lot of quarterbacks who get a lot of praise, who have great offensive line, especially in the college game, and they're not any better than quarterbacks who are getting beat up with bad offensive lines. I do think Sayan is better than Childs. I think Mendoza is better than Childs. But we saw some moments from Childs this year when he had time, and I think if Childs was at a Georgia, for example, he would be in the Heisman conversation, and he wouldn't be any different. He would have more confidence. He'd be an athletic player, and voters are also stupid. So that combination would make it. He's not like he's devoid of talent. He just lost his confidence, and he has some deficiencies in terms of bringing his eyes down and not going through his reads. But if you have a great offensive line, that stuff doesn't matter as much.
The Billy Mack of Southern Maine next. If I had Greg and Dawn Williams' family money, I'd pay to build the University of Southern Maine a football program, and I'd give Aiden Childs $5 million to play quarterback. Best take. I'd pay to have a Groovy Donuts built in Southern Maine. I've never been, but I know they're superior to the potato donuts people love out here.
Groovy Donuts expanding the Southern Maine. I think they do
franchise.
Well in Maine. Yeah, they do really well in Maine. They do well anywhere. They put other donut shops out of business pretty quick. It would be interesting if somebody with, like, we haven't seen this yet. We saw it with Penn State in hockey, but if somebody of that ilk, like you had $400 million you wanted to do, and there are people or billionaires who could do it if they really had a love for an alma mater or something, that decided they wanted to start a football program somewhere, because it costs a lot, and you have to put in enough to be able to sustain it over time and make it make sense and make sure you have a fan base, but.
Sounds like a Hallmark movie during Christmas.
I don't think it's a Hallmark movie. I don't think the football Hallmark movies never do well. They're not
No?
good. They're not good.
No kidding.
The Chiefs one sucked last year. The Bills this year. They
Wait, the audience doesn't translate from football to
just their storytelling.
Shitty movies.
It's just not one. We watched a great Hallmark movie on Saturday, and
what's the name?
Hold on, I'll give it to you. Hold on.
It's impossible.
A Newport Christmas. Really good Hallmark movie. Recommend it. 9 out of 10 for a Hallmark movie, which makes 7 out of 10 for a regular movie, which is still pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Shep, next. Listen up. F all this long-term planning with a $401 million donation. Here's what we do. $100 million to Fitz for the next 3 years, next year's roster. $50 million to Izzo for next year's roster. $25 million to Nightingale for next year's roster. Rube gets $100K cash in a duffel bag. $100K to pay teacups.org Vietnamese sweatshop child employees for a few years. Couch gets a real TV setup.
Ooh.
Elizabeth gets a new vacuum. The rest to the Lansing Promise, renamed Eat Shit Magic Promise.
Love it.
And first school ever to win natties in football, basketball, and hockey the same academic year. Who's with me? Merry Christmas.
Love this, Shep.
Let's go green. Go God.
The Eat Shit Magic Johnson Promise. Eat Shit Magic Promise.
Can we give Lats like $25K?
Yeah, we'd throw that in there. I think that would be. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, Jose Feliciano's version of Feliz Navidad is superior to Hoff. Come at me, bros. 2, seeing Greg and Don Williams at a local Tex-Mex joint made me appreciate them even more. So chill, as Graham would say, excluding the specific location so they don't get bothered.
Oh, man.
Do you think many people would bother them? I mean, other than...
I would bother them.
Yeah.
But I would just say hi. I would just say hi.
Would you really?
Well, yeah, why not? Well, they know who I am. I mean, it's not like they don't know who I am. I would say hi. It would be awkward for me not to say hi.
Oh, so they I forget they know who you are. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I ran into Greg in the stairwell the other day at Breslin.
Oh,
in the back.
You didn't push him, did you?
No, I did not push him down the rest of the way.
Thank God.
But see, I just didn't.
You just tend to do that when you're in stairwells and other people are in there.
Well, no, we just said hello to each other. Yeah, that's all. Shit, I forgot.
So chill, you guys are here. Would you say that?
I would not. I don't think I'll ever say it again.
It's the best. I love it. I think T's gonna make a mug with your your head, like the circle head, and just so chill. Jeff Millay next. Only time will tell if Fitzgerald is a good hire, but kudos to Jay Batt for staying quiet and having a plan. He worked it like a professional. And from Alan Perlstein. Jay Batt runs a tight ship and took care of business last week. And bonus from Jeff Millay. Last week, Graham's poo-poos my comment that Jordan Scott should start or play starter minutes. This week, he writes a damn column about it. Well played, Couch. At least I didn't pay for a subscription.
So I don't know if I poo-pooed. Like, I still don't think I would start him. Maybe that's what I... But, yeah, it's becoming more and more obvious that he fits their identity. And I'd have to check the tape, so to speak, which I'm not going to do.
But you could have a change of opinion, you know?
But I wasn't down on him or anything. I still think I wouldn't start him because, to me, starting it just like was Zapala last year. It was just like with Sissoko before that. You can tell certain games that work for guys, and you can get more out of it, and you can pivot quickly, and it's a way to bake in some minutes for them. Like, to me, I would start Kurt Teng there unless things really go south for him shooting wise. And he hasn't done enough to prove that he can be the guy. I mean, he's going to just have to do that, and it could still happen in his career. I mean, he's a sophomore, and we've seen him have will he ever become a knockdown shooter in big moments? I don't know. I mean, you don't want to give up on the guy, but I would still start Kurt Teng, but I would just count on in competitive games playing Jordan Scott 25 minutes a night.
Jeff Peterson next. Jonathan Smith will be more highly thought of than Alan Haller in 5 to 10 years, despite Haller's non-revenue coaching hires and despite Smith's lousy record over 2 years. Sad but necessary firings.
That's a good question here by Jeff.
I don't believe it.
Do you think? Okay, 10 years from now.
Yeah,
we're at Breslin Center. 2 different games, not sitting next to each other. The Jumbotron shows the Haller sitting there watching the game, and a week later shows Jonathan Smith sitting there just back in town watching the game. What's the response?
I don't think I think people will be dead inside and happy it's over with the Jonathan Smith
10
thing.
years from now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will have any emotion for Smith. They'll be like, oh, yeah, there's that guy. But Haller has an opportunity with the coaches that are still coaching that he hired, Freilich, Nightingale, and others, that if they do good things, he'll be remembered. Not, we'll still talk about the football program, but if Nightingale goes on a run, wins a natty, maybe wins 2, maybe Freilich does a run into the, I don't know. I could see Haller being looked at as like, well, at least he got a couple things right while he was here. Jonathan Smith, there'll be no way. People were so happy to stop talking about him.
I think if it comes out, and it's already come out a little bit, that like Jonathan Smith and his staff have been helpful in retaining this recruiting class, helpful in the transition.
Can I carry those boxes for you, man?
Well, but it's sort of like, you remember a lot of people's
man.
opinions of like George W. Bush changed when all the stuff came out about how helpful they were to the Obama administration in what was a time of tumultuous financial stuff in the country. But like there was a lot of work
made up
together
for all that 9/11 thing. Jesus. All you got to do is help out Obama, apparently.
Again, I'm just saying in terms of like putting something above yourself is what I'm saying.
Iraq War. All I got to do is help a couple boxes at the White House,
right.
Apparently. This guy.
Okay. The point being, I think if there's not a bitterness in terms of how you behave, in terms of how you recruit, I think Jonathan Smith will not be looked at as somebody who people think awful of. They thought he was a good guy who didn't get a great shake, who wasn't a great fit, but did his best and tried to make the transition decent. I think it's a small golf clap. Haller, you're right, has a chance because I do think some of those other hires, and I think he's a Michigan State guy.
A small golf clap
for Jonathan Smith.
Yeah. Why is he going to wait? Why is he being introduced again 10 years from now? Jonathan Smith.
He's just out of game. He's not being introduced. They're just showing him sitting there on the Jumbotron during a game.
I don't think he's ever coming to East Lansing ever again.
Maybe not. I think Haller more than Smith, and both would have this. If Haller were to sit down and do like an interview about his time and be really forthcoming on areas where he fell short and things like that, I think people would have a good sense of forgiveness for things they're angry about. If they are.
Balky Bartakamus next. If Cam Ward was healthy, Spartans beat Duke. Jordan Scott is the best option at 2 guard with Devine next up. I'm sure Kurt Tang is a very nice guy, but he's not him.
So Ugo Chukwu, not Noel Devine, not the
Ugo
West Virginia running back, but he is an essential part of this though, because what Michigan State does not have is a guy who's a great second. They don't have a lot of ball handling. They don't have, like, you look at last year's roster, which didn't have great length on the guard and wings, but it was Jeremy Fears, Jace Richardson, Trey Holloman, and Jaden Akins. You had 4 guys who could handle the ball and create. Like, that was a lot. That was a plethora, and that was the strength of that team in a lot of ways. This team just has Fears, who's good at that, and then they have Ugo Chukwu. And so that is, to me, it makes his role important. I think, like you've seen in the rotation in the first half especially, he comes in for Fears. I think he's done a pretty good job there recently. And then Fears comes back and he stays on the court and plays the 2. You don't see that as much in the second half. I think we'll see that more and more in certain matchups because he is another guy and creating those 2 together out there. Again, I don't think he's a great defender. I think he's okay. I think there are elements of certainly Jordan Scott that are better. I think Kurt Tang is a better better shooter by trait, although we haven't necessarily seen it. I think Trey Fort's going to be the interesting one here because he sort of is what he is. And you have moments like he had that great dunk in the first half. He'll get hot in a game or 2. But I think we sort of see what he is. And the question for him will be, and if he's going to earn a role on this team that's substantive in big moments, he's going to have to – he's got the athletic ability to do it. He's going to have to become a really good defender. And if he becomes a guy that, like, boy, that guy on the court is a defender, allows some of the stuff that he's inconsistent with offensively for him to be out there. I think that's the key for him having a bigger role. Right now, I just don't see it.
Matt C. next. Number 1, Izzo got out-coached again by Duke. For some reason, whenever Izzo sees a zone, he turns into Monty Williams. Fears also picked a bad game to go 0 for 10. Still a Final Four caliber team. And I'd love another crack at Duke down the line. And 2, the college football playoff putting in 2 G5 teams is gross. The first round is unwatchable. Now, thanks, committee. Replace James Madison and Tulane with Bama and Texas in the first round would be electric.
For you, it would be, but for half the country, it might not. And I get it. But if this is the problem, go to 14. But then there'll be 2 other teams that feel the same way. Like, you're going to have years where people get left out. That's part of the meaning of the regular season. The regular season is supposed to matter. The problem is, because you have these stupid-ass big leagues of 18 teams and you don't have good tiebreakers in leagues and you've got an independent in Notre Dame and all this shit, the system from which you pick, like, you ought to be able to qualify and say, well, there are 10 teams that get in or 11 teams that get in plus a mid-major, and that should be enough. But the terms are clear. The problem is the terms aren't really clear. This is where Tony Batiti and some other people who like the idea of leagues having a certain amount of bids and you have to play into that. Like, the Big Ten would almost have playoffs for its bids or a certain amount of spots in the Big Ten. This is where some of that makes sense. So the terms are clear for you. For Notre Dame, like, look, they're capable of not being in a conference because of their brand and all this stuff. But every once in a while, if they're not in a conference, they're going to have to deal with some shit, and people are naturally going to be resentful of them, and they're just going to have to deal with that. It is what it is. BYU got its ass in a conference. Like, at some point, man, like, you're in the Big Ten for hockey, the ACC takes care of you, and basketball and everything else. Like, pick a league, go find a league, contribute to that league, and some of this stuff won't happen.
Robert next. It's too obvious now that the Power 4 college football fans don't want group of 6 teams crashing their party. Since over 6 teams have no honest shot at a national championship, it's probably way past time to reassess group of 6 involvement in the FBS.
My question for you, Robert, and you're a Western fan, would be if you were in the FBS or in the FCS, if you're in the next division down, and maybe it works because Southern Illinois, the North Dakotas, like, those schools over time have embrace their level of football. They have big fan bases. I don't know if a lot of schools moving down would find joy in that, and maybe they would. Maybe as long as they could still play, the Michigan States of the world, the Michigans of the world in non-conference games here and there, and then be a playoff that was more of their tier, maybe it would be fine, and maybe that is a way. But it is clear, and part of it's having covered Western, having covered the MAC, the snobbery pisses me off. I mean, I want to tell people to kick rocks. Don't
get too violent.
Right.
Kick rocks. Suck on a tailpipe. Kurt Wisniewski, number 1, the College Football Playoff Committee's message to Notre Dame was loud and clear. Join a conference. And 2, MSU basketball can compete with any team anywhere. But isn't Notre Dame just going to complain and there's going to be 16-team playoff next year?
Well, and they're automatically, I think the way the language is written, if they're in the top 12, they get in next year. I mean, they'll be fine. This is 1 year. They'll be fine. It's not, they lost. I do want to encourage teams to play. And what I don't like is Notre Dame does not play Division I AA games. They had some teams that wound up sucking on their schedule this year, but I don't think their intent in scheduling was poor. I don't like that people think, like, head-to-head has to matter. The challenge in college football is teams evolve from September to November, and you can be the better team. You have to be able to watch more than the game that 2 teams played against each other.
But so only games at the end of the season.
Well, that's the problem. Everything. This is
got to mean something.
You got to be able to win your way in, and this
no matter when you play it, it has to mean something head to head.
The terms have to be clear, and we got to figure out a way to get there for that.
Tim next. College football has the worst elements of other sports leagues. It is becoming regional like Major League Baseball in the sense that big games in other leagues don't really matter until the college football playoff. Now, and the top of the rankings feels set in stone like the NBA, where you can pencil in certain teams preseason.
Yeah, I mean, college football, it has a lot wrong with it, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's tied to school, right? I mean, the first part of things, let's all acknowledge here that college football shouldn't exist. We now have pretty definitive evidence of long-term head trauma for
that should
football.
Have been your first hot take.
Right. And yet we tie it to higher education. Like right there. So right away we're starting with absurdity when we have college football. Okay? We're not.
That's a 4-year degree though, man. Come on, that's valuable.
Right. And
I've been told that my whole life.
You don't even need to pay into you shouldn't even have to pay into Social Security because you're probably not going to be around for any of that stuff. So,
right.
It should be anyway.
401k. Screw it.
But I do understand what you're saying here, and I think one of the challenges is, and we've talked about this, it's like the NBA, like we pay attention, like baseball, we pay attention to the postseason. We pay attention to the Tigers in the postseason. We pay attention to the Pistons in the postseason, but we mostly pay attention to the postseason. And it used to be I would pay more attention to the regular season than I do now. And I still think that can be fixed and have an expanded playoff, but the terms have to be clear so people understand what matters in the regular season. Obviously, Michigan, Ohio State, that game is going to matter in the regular season. There are going to be moments that matter in the regular season. But I think also not making teams not want to play other power conference teams and the non-league and having ways to make that beneficial, because there is an argument what Indiana did, for example, does help you, that you don't get hurt, you don't get beat up as much, and then so maybe you shouldn't play those games. But then the season sucks for a while anyway. I think there's a lot to fix in college football. I think the key starting point, though, is the calendar. I think it's starting a little earlier. It's ending by January 1, and you've got to start there, and you start.
But we saw this coming. Why wouldn't you work on the calendar?
Because there are too many factions, too. That's the other problem with college football, unlike some other things. You don't have a commissioner. Nope. You've got so many different people, and people have different ideas, and people have different interests that they're all out to protect.
So wouldn't you start with that? Let's get a commissioner. Let's form some sort of functioning board that doesn't.
Everything's in transition. Eventually, you're going to have contracts and collective bargaining with the athletes, which you got to get to. You got to get to that point too. I mean, there's a lot that needs to change in the next 5-6 years.
So is there any coming back from some of these things for college football?
Sure.
I don't know,
because it's still football. People love, and they still love their alma maters. Like, you can't. I think college football's still got a shot. It just, they need to be careful, because you can 20 years from now you could be less relevant to the sports landscape today if you do things wrong.
Chris Eastlick next. Notre Dame being left out just showed the obvious that we already knew. The playoff ranking show is meaningless filler and isn't worth watching. Yes, that's something to take away from this whole process, watching that show. I mean, if you sat there through the whole thing.
But think about Love Island and stuff that people watch. There's a lot of meaningless filler in life.
Yeah, but that's trash TV. That's meaningless filler that makes you forget about life for a while or hate something. Like I get that kind of thing, but just old fuddy-duddy Graham Couch white guys staring at shitty TVs with their, they got their laptops out like they're typing some shit. It's like, I don't need to see, whatever. It's just, but you can say that for all the pregame shows for the NFL and college football anyway. You don't. It's all
filler bullshit. It's all filler bullshit.
But filler bullshit for the reality shows, I get that. People like to just get away for a while and watch trash TV.
If you have a Notre Dame fan in your life, consider a Muskox flannel. It is a good way to provide comfort, quality, to make them forget a little bit about what's going on before they get all the advantages back in their life anyway next year. Or if you have anybody in your life who could just use comfort, quality, to show that you love them, to show that you care about them, and you just want to give a great gift. Because we all know, like, we can think about the greatest gifts we've gotten in our lives, and we can remember them, most of them when we were in childhood. But nothing feels better around Christmas than giving a great gift that's appreciated, that somebody will use and benefit them. A Muskox flannel is that. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code PEACOCK for $15 off your flannel purchase. Give a great gift this holiday season.
Izzo for Prez next. Glad we have the college playoff mess to cleanse my timeline from Duke fans.
Why don't you write something, huh? Why don't you write something?
It was quite. I missed some of that. I wasn't paying a ton of attention. But
there was Duke fans on Twitter?
Yeah, they were pretty.
Insufferable?
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. I didn't even know Duke had fans. Apparently,
I didn't know either. I mean, I know they have, like Drake and shit like that. But money bag number one, it's been amusing to see how many of the Duke fans in my mentions are also Yankees or Dodger fans. I hope the teams they cling to make up for the other holes in their life. And two, way too early, but if we spend money in the portal, 7 to 8 wins next year is extremely doable.
It'll be interesting to see how the roster is constructed, and we'll be able to see how much money is being spent by who they get, who stays, all that stuff. I don't know if there's anything more obnoxious than a Yankees, Dodgers, and Duke fan. I get there, unless you're from New York, where most Duke fans are from. I guess it's not so.
Yeah, but where does Oh, you mean not liking all of them at once?
Well, you can't like the Yankees and the Dodgers, but if you like the Yankees and Duke.
Oh, there's people with a couple baseball teams. I mean, I guess.
Was it Christian Laettner who turned you on? I don't really understand.
Laettner was amazing, though.
He was a great college player.
You want to use that, I guess, when you were younger. Cherokee Parks and Bobby Hurley.
Yeah, no, it's
Any other white guys?
no, it's a really good point. That's really good. But let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we'll dig into many more of your hot takes. Some of the best are still to come. That's not just a tease.
The previous one sucked. Here comes good ones.
Our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Firekeeper's online casino and sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Hey, so you should totally hit that like button and subscribe to Couch in the Rube on YouTube. Seriously though, if you don't, Santa's literally gonna skip my house this year. And Graham Couch? Yeah, he's threatening to catnap my precious kitty. So come on, help a girl out.
Couch in the Rube, our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go Muskox.com, and then Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. Our friend Matt Drillette, just speaking of AI, sent out the latest cartoon drawing of Couch in the Rube.
Oh, yeah?
It's the Rube, well, it's actually me, telling the story of the Rube before Christmas,
Nice.
Christmas Rube, which is a story we will tell in our final show before Christmas, as we always do.
Can you tell it?
Do you want me to tell it this year?
Yeah, you can tell it this year.
I don't know. It wouldn't be as good.
I was thinking about it. It's like we should do it a different way.
We'll find a different way. Okay.
I feel like a comedian that has to tell the same, like he's got a great
one
bit
joke
that made him famous or something, and then it's like I don't mind. I just feel like I don't know. Anyway.
Well, maybe we do. We will find a different way to tell it. I
yeah,
agree.
we will.
That would be good.
I'll just tell it. It's fine.
So this is the 15th call today I've gotten from the
Solari?
No, from the Heisman Trust, because I haven't filled out my ballot yet. I've got till 5 p.m. today. It's just annoying. It's like, guys, I'm going to do it. Like, you got
how many times? Are you being serious? They called you that many times?
No, but it's like the third. It's like, guys, I picked up twice and said it's coming. I'm sure they have somebody else say, hey, it's just not in yet.
Man, they really give a shit that much for your vote, huh?
They want that vote. It's Mendoza, guys. It's Mendoza. There you go.
So why didn't you just send it to him?
I just haven't had time yet. I'm not going to delay the show so I can do my ballot. Right?
You couldn't have voted yesterday?
I probably could have. But there was a Hallmark show on. I was on the treadmill. There's lots of things going on.
Truth comes out. Spartan Dog 97 next. Number 1, Nick Saban, the best coach the sport has seen this century. Hated losing so much, he completely flipped his team's offensive philosophy and reaped massive benefits because of it. And 2, Fitzgerald would be wise to follow his example by hiring an offensive coordinator on the cutting edge of college offense.
It'll be interesting to see who he hires as an OC. One of the things that, he talked about his Rolodex in that podcast he did with Reese Davis and Pete Thamel in early November, and how, I'm curious to see where he goes with this and who's willing to leave and who wants to, be at Michigan State with him, and I'm sure the money will be decent. I'm very curious to see where he goes, and at some point, I'm going to guarantee you this, though. At some point, Michigan State fans will not be happy with the new offensive coordinator. It doesn't matter if it was Jesus of Nazareth himself. It doesn't matter. Like, the offensive coordinator, the offense at some point is going to look like shit, and it's going to be the coordinator's fault. That is a
well, then don't have an offense that looks like shit at times. I mean,
well, it's impossible. Everybody's offense looks like shit at some times.
I don't know. G.E. Miller, Rossi retention is strike one for Fitz. Resources are not. 15th in the Big Ten in points per game allowed. 14th in yards per game is awful, and even worse against every team that had a quarterback with a pulse, and even some without. He came down from the press box. Big whoop. No quarterback pressure, no picks. Retaining a defensive coordinator from a bad defense, importantly, also misses the opportunity to hire a good defensive coordinator that can bring players over with him. Any Rossi recruits are already signed. There was no upside in retaining Rossi. That's a good job, G.E. Miller. I think you got me flipped on this Rossi thing.
No, I disagree in this. Well, I disagree in this sense.
It makes some good points.
The stats alone aren't. I mean, I think there are good coaches on Mel Tucker's staff. Not all of them, but I think there are some. I think there are some really good coaches on Jonathan Smith's staff. I think Mihalchek, the offensive line coach, is a good coach, and they'll bring in another offensive line coach who will try and do it. Nobody's been able to do it at Michigan State in a decade. But I don't know that he'll be better than Mihalchek. And, I think Rossi's, I would like to see what Rossi does when he has the horses to do it. Because
those guys did fight for him.
They did.
Right? And down the stretch there, Rossi, that is.
And here would be a promising counterpoint. What we saw when they had talent that was superior or at least equal, when they played not great teams, when they played mid-major teams, we would see this, we'd see the pressure come in waves. I like the way. I like the approach. I like the defense against mid-major teams. Now, unfortunately for Michigan State, they play in the Big Ten, not in the MAC, and so that's not enough. But a lot of the reasons it wasn't enough is because their talent wasn't enough. I would like to see what he can do, the thing that'll be interesting to the offensive coordinator point too is like some of the most interesting hires that have happened over time are when a coach will know a coordinator that gave them fit. So you're an offensive coach and you just know this was a defensive guy that was a problem for me. Or you're a defensive coach, you're like, that guy's offense I always hated facing. Those are the type of people part of those trees or on those staffs, those are the people I think you want to bring in. So not necessarily familiarity with you, but it's people who are always just a thorn in your side and you really respect what they do.
Matt Salisbury next. Number 1, I don't mind Rossi staying. Get him a pass rush. 2, MSU was good enough to beat Duke. Scott needs to start. And 3, excuse me. As a mailman in North Carolina, thank you guys for helping me stay sane and laugh, especially during the hot months and now during peak.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Shout out, man. Yeah, I love the post office people, man.
That's
a
awesome.
tough gig,
That's
especially
awesome.
during this month.
We have a mailman in our neighborhood who listens, and I run into with my mother on walks sometimes. Very much appreciate you, Matt. I don't know.
Better than our mail lady. I mean, she's also the mayor of Ovid.
Whoa, your mail lady is the mayor of Ovid?
Yeah. Treese loves telling people that.
That's incredible. What a combo. Is the mayor of Ovid's not a full-time gig, though, I'm guessing?
She treats it like one. I don't know. I think she does both. I don't think she sleeps ever. Ovid, so a lot going on.
But think about that. The easiest way to campaign door to door is like you're already going door to door.
We heard all the laws and rules about that, about how, the federal laws, and it's just like, forget it. Just don't even talk to me about it.
So wait,
Mary is her name. She's great.
Is she breaking the law, what you're saying?
No, but she follows the law to a T. I mean, she's very on the straight and narrow. Me, I could give a shit, right? Like, I'm just like, let's talk about it. Are you going to run for mayor? And she's like, well, she can't talk about while she's on the route.
Right.
There's all those rules. So I'm saying, no, she follows the rule to a T.
Okay.
I just was like, come on, Mary, give me a sign. I want to put a sign out front in the yard here.
That is a story.
doing?
It's a story worth telling.
You're a
Presented
mail
by
lady. Of course I'm going to vote for you. I don't know anybody else around here.
presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. Yeah, I don't think Scott needs to start. I just think he needs to be your closing and primary guard, two guard in this situation, unless there's a day where Kurt Tang is just hitting. And we saw that against Kentucky, right? If that day happens, you ride with that. If he winds up being the difference maker, I just think more often than not, who they are identity-wise is going to be Scott. Trick
next. What are the biggest factors in retaining Smith's staff at MSU? Number one, their competencies. That's what it says. 2, keeping players and recruits. And 3, their buyouts.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these things are competency is obviously very important. I think player retention, when there are people, you see Blue Adams staying, I think there are guys who you feel like connect with the players or you feel are really good coaches. Even the worst teams in college football have some really good people on their coaching staff. And I'm pretty sure the fan bases of those schools don't really understand which ones are which. And that's not a knock on the fan base. That's not. I don't always understand which is which. I get a sense of it from talking to them, but I'm not at practice. I don't understand from a player development standpoint. I hear from people who, like Mahalchek, I heard a lot of great things from previous stop and this stop in terms of how he develops, and so that leads you to believe that may be true. But I'm not out there with him. I don't, and then you hear from other coaches like here, one of the great things that Jonathan Smith had going for him is every person I talked to who was not at Michigan State, who had any inkling about him. A lot of people didn't know him that well, but they thought he was a good coach. And coming in, like that, when the hire happened, they thought that guy's a good ball coach. And he had some other areas that didn't work out. And it clearly didn't work at Michigan State, but sometimes
ball coach.
Yeah, I don't know. So
He's a bull in a china closet.
Ball coach. Ralph E., number one, Graham's last column Sunday was the best of a good run of them. Yeah, man, you've been on fire. I know we bust your balls here, but, man, good job this past couple of weeks here.
I appreciate you.
Good for you, man. 2, Spartan Ventures received $100 million seed money from the generous donation. It also has a subsidiary, Spartan Athletics Foundation. And 3, they announced this would be kicked off in 6 to 8 months. Do you know or can you predict what all this will look like? Will it include NIL, sponsorships, and Spartan Fund? I know it's a work in process, but these seem to be huge changes. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think the Spartan Fund will be separate from Spartan Ventures. The Spartan Ventures but Spartan Ventures will obviously be the revenue part of Spartan Athletics. This is something that it was interesting because Jay Batt knows that people don't quite understand this. And I had somebody who works with him reach out to me and asking about, like, would it make sense for him to do a piece or an interview just explaining this? And at the time, my point was, this is when Jonathan Smith's still the coach, and that was the answer. And there were a lot of questions and a lot of things. I said, for him to do an interview right now, he's going to have to be able to answer a lot of stuff. Like, he's going to have to talk about the coaching situation. He's going to have to talk about what other things are going on. Yes, this is interesting. And I do think now we're at a point where one of the things to talk to him about is what this all looks like, how it unfolds. It's the old explain it to me like a 5-year-old, because I want to be able to explain it to everybody else like they're a 5-year-old. And I think that's really important. I think it's something that will happen in the short term.
Explain it like you're talking to the Rube.
There you go.
That's what I need. Iman Sinner next. Number one, Christmas is popular in the U.S. because it's the only time of year we treat work like it doesn't run our lives. Work to live, not live to work. And 2, Graham, I will subscribe to the LSJ if you write a serious article on which Christmas cookie each Big Ten coach would be.
More likely to do it with a groovy donut, but
I think you'd rather just pay for your subscription. Give you a free one. I did that.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if I could pull that off. I don't know if I have the talent and the humor. I'm the guy who just said so chill, So I don't know if I have the ability to do it.
It's so chill.
It could be a fun column if I could pull it off. If you give me some suggestions, give me started down the right path, I will
give you some MGs.
I will. Yeah, it might be one to write with a few MGs. I do think Christmas has some elements of this. There are, it is an area of time where we do put our personal lives ahead of our work lives, and we don't do enough of that in this country.
Neurotic Pants. Number one, Graham should absolutely no dry humping around. Tell us what he knew before all the big announcements. As a member of the Lansing Power Elite, he definitely knew something. Some guy on a park bench told me about Graham's knowledge and power. And two, Jason should discuss the retainment of Rossi. Oh, we did. I mean, we talked about it already.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
You're okay with it. Yeah.
Well, I'm being turned here by everybody. Some people are making good points about not bringing Rossi back and not having a guy, to bring guys in. I do like that for some reason when a guy is showing up with some dudes. So I do, but I don't mind if Fitzgerald's going to try this. I just want to see if Rossi doesn't end up working out next year, can he make a move to get rid of him? Because that's what I want from my head coach, a guy that can make cutthroat decisions and not worry about it, not worry about someone's feelings or that their family or their kids go to school here. Like, I get that. We worry about all that stuff on the forefront as a human being, but as a football coach, you just have to make a move. These guys understand that. I mean, look at college football the way it is. I think everybody understands now. You don't produce, your ass is out of here. So tell your kids not to get too comfortable. I think they get it by now.
And I think for Rossi, this is a good move. I thought Rossi would be a defensive coordinator somewhere next year. I thought he'd done enough. His reputation's decent enough. There'd be a place that would hire him. But if you're Joe Rossi and you're in your mid-40s and you're hoping at some point, I'm sure, to be a head coach. And I think when he came over with Jonathan Smith and left Fleck, he thought he'd kind of done what he could at Minnesota, and Fleck took a lot of the oxygen of the room there. And, do you come to Michigan State, it gets turned around, the defense winds up being a lead at a place known for defense, and like a Narduzzi, you get an opportunity, right? I think the fact that his reputation was sort of revived late last season, gets a new coach, new opportunity, and, if things go well for a couple of years, he is a guy who might, because I think people do like him. They like engaging with him. He's a guy who has a lot of head coach qualities in certain ways, and he's getting to that perfect age for it. In terms of what I knew when, I knew a lot of the specifics of the donation, not entirely all of them, but
that's so chill.
Yeah, but sometimes I didn't have it from anybody where I could share it. Let's put it that way, or I would have shared it. I'm not somebody who's out to just keep information from people if I have it from a source that's allowing me to. Sometimes I don't want to know things for that reason. Like, one of my least favorite things is being told something I can't share, because then I feel like I'm.
But
just
if someone
holding it
tells
back.
you that, like, don't share this with someone. I lock in when someone. I always tell people, if you don't want me to tell someone else, please tell me.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell it. Not everybody's telling me shit, but you know what I mean. If you had something important, you don't want me, because I just feel like, okay, then I know it gets locked in my dumb brain of like, don't tell people.
Yeah.
But you feel like you have to keep.
Well,
even
yeah.
If someone's like, Graham, could you not?
Well, yeah. If somebody tells me
Please
something,
don't tell me.
There are different ways. If there's something that's off the or that's told in confidence off the record. But I'm
like
not,
Izzo, you have no idea what's
well,
on.
Izzo is a whole different thing. That's a different skill. Covering Izzo is like weaving in and out, and you kind of learn it over time. I'm surprised he hasn't really been burned, because there are enough like students and young people who come through that it would just take like one hungry person's like, wait, Izzo said that? Jeez, peace. And it would burn him. And but
Jesus, what's he telling these people?
Well,
What are you talking
it's
about?
not bad, but he used to do, and he doesn't do it as much anymore.
Conspiracy theories? I mean, like, what could possibly get out to where it was like, holy shit, is he on the Epstein fucking list? What? I mean, you say these things, and I'm sorry, I have to take them literally.
No. But Izzo used to do, and there are still things he's told me that you're like, God, I wish I could share that. I mean, what the hell, man? Like, or I think of ways, can I get back at him to talk about something a little more publicly on this? But he used to do a lot more roundtables. He used to do, on Mondays, he would do like a half-hour press conference, and then he'd do like an hour roundtable that was in and on and off the record. And some of the stuff, and sometimes he was weaving in and out there. That was the place he weaved in and out the most. And you'd have all these people standing around, some that didn't have great experience with him, and he would say things that, about how he felt about an opposing coach or an opposing player or something like that, that you knew he was speaking off the record. And he would change in tone, or sometimes he would say it, which was smart. But sometimes he wouldn't. You knew, because the whole thing was on and off, and you kind of and it would have taken one person once to like say Izzo hates this guy, and that would have been it. There would have been no more of that, and he would have clamped up on that stuff. And I think he's been lucky to a degree that most people have understood it around there, or young people haven't had the balls to print it.
Jarrett next. Graham's take that the Lions and Chiefs have the best outlook for an NFL franchise at the beginning of the season is looking worse every week. Sounds out of context. I mean, like, you're capable of saying some shit like that, but like, I feel like there was some context.
What I mean here is, I think before this season started, or at the very beginning, I was saying, if I had to be any two franchises in football right now, I'd want to be the Lions or Chiefs, just because I thought the Lions for the next couple of years had as good a chance as anybody, if not better, at winning the Super Bowl heading into the season. And the Chiefs have Mahomes, and you certainly right now, the Mahomes thing is interesting because he's like 30 right now. They're going to have another run with him. And they might have to retool the roster to some degree, but they have him.
It was all Travis Kelce's fault last night. Right? He's
bad.
thinking about his wedding next year.
And it was Andy Reid in that fourth down call. That was pretty ridiculous. I mean, I heard Cousin Sal talking about this. How
it's hard for me to listen to the Simmons Sal podcast ever since they stopped.
I have issues post Harry.
Getting rid of Harry's guys,
But
Still
apparently
love that podcast.
it was 10-10 at that moment going to that fourth down, and Kansas City was minus 300 something to win because
the refs.
The defense was dominating. No, the defense was dominating. They just punted the ball. It didn't look like Texas was going to get anything. That was a huge, huge error. But it's not. I still think the Lions, though, are going to retool and be in better shape next year. I think the Chiefs will do the same. I still think those two franchises are, among the top, 5 or 6 franchises you'd want to be for the next year or so. I just
protect Goff.
Yeah.
Jesus H. Watch it. I know, not saying Daniel Jones is on Goff's level. I'm just saying the injury and seeing something like that of like your season's done.
And
you went from having playoff somewhat hopes if you're the Colts to all of a sudden after one play you can see Riley Leonard.
And if it's an Achilles, your next season's kind of done too. That's the hard part. Yeah.
I know. CW, number 1, I'm tired of the 12-team playoff. Go back to 4 teams. 2, this is the best I've felt after an MSU loss, but how the hell do Izzo coach teams still struggle with the zone? 3, what a weird word to get wrong. Struggle. 3, Bears versus Packers was an unusual watch experience. I caught myself rooting for whatever defense was on the field.
That's when you know you hate both teams.
I hated that game.
Yeah.
That game stunk.
Just because it's hard to, because you're rooting against both, right? Is that why?
Well, absolutely. I hate both of them.
But I thought
it was passion.
I thought it was clear from a Lions standpoint that you want the Bears to win or lose that game because
Yes.
you want the Bears. You want that game on January 4th to be the Lions win it. They're in.
Yeah.
And so that loss by the Bears,
which we're going to, by the way, if it means something.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I know.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah, only if it means something. If we get out of the playoffs, we're not going to that shit. So.
Well, like if
we're going to be like Notre Dame, we'll be like, get out of here.
If you look at the rest of the Bears' schedule, I mean, the Bears' schedule is brutal. I don't know why the Lions. I'm not saying the Lions don't have some tough games, and obviously the Rams are tough, but the Bears obviously they host the Browns, which are no picnic to play against, even though they're not that good. Then they host the Packers, and then they have the 49ers on the road before the Lions. Like, the Bears are going to lose games. Like, I think that game's going to mean something. I really do. What will be interesting, and I'll have to look at, the Bears could lose enough that, like, that the Lions could lose that game and still get in potentially.
Now you're talking.
That's what we want.
This is the couch I love to hear. By the way, the Browns aren't winning. I don't know. They're not beating the Bears. As long as you have Stefanski. I mean, he's fucking terrible. The Browns are helpless. MCV, number 1, if Indiana or Texas Tech win the national championship, it will trigger the largest structural overhaul in college football history. The powers that be won't allow those brands to have that level of success without consequences. And bonus, bowl-eligible teams sitting out a bowl season is the beginning of the end on any concept that fans matter in this sport. Enjoy those multi-million-dollar donations because they will be a thing of the past once the older fans pass away.
I mean, the Ishbias of the world are still there. There's still I think in terms of that, there's still a generation of people who are going to have wealth that are going to care greatly. The struggle for college football, and this is where a lot of the national folks and a lot of people in the sport don't think enough about it, is what happens, people who are, 16 to 24 right now who have sort of been in this or even younger, like that next generation, do they care the way that we care about this? Do people who graduate from these schools later care? Do they feel as connected? That's going to be a big deal. I don't think Indiana or Texas Tech would trigger a structural overhaul. I think other things might trigger a structural overhaul. I don't think people are. The Indiana story is so big. Nobody views Indiana as like this threat that nobody wants that to happen. It just, I think.
I mean, is there money flying at Indiana when Cignetti was getting these? Majority of them being his former players at James Madison.
Well, that was just the first year. A lot of these guys are not. The second year is what was impressive to me.
Yeah.
The first year was like, okay, I kind of get it. He had a team that won like 11 games, and he brought like 11 starters, and okay, I kind of see it. Now, what was impressive about that first year, and he's picked a good quarterback each year, better one this year even, what's impressive about that, and then some of that's quarterback, identifying the right quarterback, and you can say Jonathan Smith, that's where he partly failed. But I think the fact that the mid-major guys he had were so good and could play up tells you about their development, and you don't always see that, right? I mean, look at Michigan State basketball with Trey Fort right now. Solid, okay player, role player on a good Big Ten team. But, like, if you brought in 11 of those guys on a football team, like, you're not winning the Big Ten the next year. You're not getting to the playoff. And the fact that his guys at James Madison were the catalyst for that was pretty amazing.
Did you hear Mendoza go full Tony D after the game in his interview?
I heard it was not great.
What did we tell you? What did we tell you? What did we tell you? Come here and take it. Let's go.
Oh, wait, that was Tony D, actually.
Yeah, it was.
But, yeah, it sounded something like that.
Yeah.
Couch on fire. How do you go into the portal and pull 2 quarterback rabbits out of your hat like Signetti? Has he sold his soul to the devil on this stupefying Indiana success? And bonus, after Saturday's performance, seems fears might be more Eric Snow than any other comparison. Many of those shots were ugly.
Nah, I think Fears is more Cleve still. I think he's hit some big shots. It was a bad game. It was, and I know what you mean by Snow. But Snow was a good player in a different era, and he did some things really well. And he could defend like crazy.
No free throws.
But he didn't have this sort of swagger. Fears is more Cleves in that sense. Yeah, you're right. The Signetti's, and some of this is with these quarterbacks, you've really got to pick and choose who you want to go after. It's interesting, a guy like Sam Levitt's back in the portal, by the way. And Sam Levitt seems like a guy who's a bit of a headache. You've got a pretty good situation in Arizona State, but now you're leaving it. Now, I understand they have a bit of a roster overall there, but you gotta pick these guys right, and that's a big part of the job. If you get the quarterback wrong and you don't, we've seen it.
David Jackson, yes, some were shot clock beating prayer attempts, but Fears and Carr need to understand that when they're missing every non-dunk that they attempt, it's time to stop fearlessly firing away. As Clint Eastwood says to end Magnum Force, a man's got to know his limitations.
Fears, though,
it's always good to know that.
Fears has hit a lot of shots. Fears had an off day and has missed some. And he does need to do, I think Izzo wants him to do the pull-up more than the floater because he feels that's a better shot for him and a shot he makes more often. Yeah, I mean, Carr, they both had off days shooting the ball. And Carr has some limitations. And, yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges this MSU team has, and it's been one of my questions about them is, like, when things aren't working and you need a bucket, do you have a guy who can go get you buckets? Because you can't just always completely stop everybody. And that's one of the areas that I think could be an Achilles heel.
Mr. Ben Jen, that Duke loss will pay off more benefits this MSU basketball season than a win would have. And from Karen, it sucks to lose to Duke, especially, but it would be better for team success down the road.
Yeah, I don't know how beneficial losing. I mean, I do understand the point of a loss you learn from. Like sometimes they were talking about a couple cutouts missed on free throws and other things like that. And when those actually cost you a game, as they might have, and you're able to point to that and you learn, and that's the sweat equity, right? And some of the older players in the locker room talked about some of the young guys not yet quite, and it takes a minute, right? They don't understand every possession can kill you if you don't get it right. Every possession matters. And so there is growth in that, and you can use these as tools, I guess. But
it still sucks.
Still sucks.
It can help you mentally with a loss, saying, down the road this will mean more. But
I think they would have been okay losing. I think winning. Sorry, I think they would have been fine as a team. Now, what would have been interesting is I have seen seasons with teams where you're unbeaten for a long time, and then that becomes a thing. Like you play tight at some point, or the streak becomes bigger than. I don't think that would have mattered because at some point you're going to lose in the Big Ten, but it might have gotten well into January.
Spartan Sunshine, number 1, Boozer has a stupid-looking face, but was really good. 2, both James Madison and Tulane should not make the playoffs. Both will lose by double digits.
I need both teams to win.
3, Indiana loses in the first game. Ohio State wins back-to-back national championships.
I'll be surprised. I think this Indiana team's pretty good, and I think they're healthy enough. I was worried when Mendoza took that hit right at the beginning of the game. I was like, that's like, is that it? Is that everything you hope for goes? But. By the way, I didn't know his brother was on the team until that moment. The backup.
Oh, he does? What?
His brother's the
Mendoza
backup quarterback.
Bros?
Yeah.
Wow. Alex Mayer, number one, Trey Ford not being a middle-of-the-road Big Ten player could be the downfall of this team eventually, unless Scott doesn't hit the freshman wall. And 2, hot take, I love that they donated to a school I root for, but no single person should have $401 million to donate. And 3, bowl games are officially dead. Just expand the playoffs and get rid of any mid to lower tier bowl games.
It's not what I would have spent $400 million on, but I think MSU fans are grateful for it. And I think
when you have $11 billion, I mean, $401 million.
$11 billion? Is that the number?
Get some Mexican food,
They could have used they needed Trey. They could use more from Trey Fort than they're getting, and I thought they would get more. And that's just based on like the summer runs. And I'm not talking Moneyball. You hear stuff from people about who he was in summer workouts, the summer runs with the team, and I can see how like Trey Fort's going to make a really good living overseas because he's what a lot of European leagues don't have, like that sort of athleticism and stuff. Like he will be I'm not saying he's the top tier player over there, but he's going to make a really good living and be somebody that
like Frankie Fiddler. I saw Solari retweeted something about Frankie Fiddler dropping 24 in some Turkish league or something.
You just saw Malik Hall and Cassius Winston played against each other the other day. I mean, those guys now, but Trey Fort has a specific skill set in terms of being an athletic dude, but not an NBA player that's gonna work overseas for him.
C-Dubs 91 hot. The Izzone wasn't that great on Saturday, and they need to get more creative with cheers. You can taunt people without hurling expletives. And bonus, if this rumor about getting Notre Dame getting an auto bid with a certain ranking is true, teams need to stop scheduling.
So everybody Michigan State actually plays them next year, right? So teams just stop playing Notre Dame, like screw them until they join a conference.
Mm-hmm. Shun them.
Yeah, the Izzone. Interesting point. I didn't think they were. I thought they were fine. I thought they were. I thought the sound early on was as good as I'd heard in a while. So interesting that you
place was rocking, but I think he's talking about the fuck Cam Boozer thing. Or
I mean, you ought to be more creative. You don't need the F word. You really don't. I mean, we use it here occasionally on this show once in a while, but you don't
because we're normal people. But yeah, we're not like in a public setting to where. Because I got to say, even my inner old guy was this guy like, oh come on, guys, I would never say it out loud in front of people, but in my brain, I just was like,
and it's just not that creative. It feels good, and sometimes there are moments to say it. But you want to reserve that moment for when a guy is a true douchebag.
Yeah.
Right? You don't do it just because a guy's good and he's got a stupid looking face. Like that can't be the reason
like
to.
There's, the internet and everything. You could find out stuff about people and get creative, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Let's take one last break. When we come back, we've got some really good stuff. As I promised, I like the end of this show. Some really good takes. Couch in the Roof, our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Hey, so you should totally hit that like button and subscribe to Couch in the Rube on YouTube. Seriously though, if you don't, Santa's literally gonna skip my house this year. And Graham Couch? Yeah, he's threatening to catnap my precious kitty. So come on, help a girl out.
Couch in the Rube, our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go to gomuskox.com where you can use the promo code Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. Make a great Christmas gift this year with a Muskox flannel. You'll be appreciated, and you'll show the people in your life that you appreciate them. Just got saw a tweet that Andrew shared that somebody put out there. And it was a thing that said, "I am this old," and it's a picture of Castle Grayskull, which was the great Christmas gift I had of my early years. And
what is that?
Castle Grayskull from He-Man.
Oh, okay.
It was like the thing.
Yeah.
So when I was really young, I wanted Castle Grayskull, and my parents thought it was probably too violent for me. I must be like 4 years old, but it was the only thing I asked for. And I had asked Santa, like one of those places where they take you at the mall or Frandor or wherever it was, and I sat on Santa's lap and I asked for Castle Grayskull. So on Christmas Eve, they went out and got it for me. And I learned from that day forward that you always ask Santa for what you really want, and you keep your asking to a limit, and your parents had to get you it. Like that was very early on.
I didn't know He-Man was so violent. I know he had a giant sword.
Yeah, I don't know. I was pretty young, like 4. Like I don't know if they thought it was.
I know it's just weird to have parents that actually carried it. Like my parents were just like, all right, it shuts them up. Like give them the He-Man thing. I mean, they were in their early 20s. So
that is a story almost worth telling, but told anyway. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, an awesome place for a date night, for a cozy date night this holiday season, a Christmas party, or just to swing by for a drink. The American Stout included. I love the American Stout, especially in the winter. 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
Zabruqua Spartan next. Here is my humble proposal for what should happen to a school that declines a bowl bid. The next season, they should be hit with an automatic one-spot deduction by the College Football Playoff Committee in their next rankings. That would shut these prima donna programs down real fast. And bonus, if this reporting that Notre Dame gets an automatic bid if they finish the season in the top 12 starting next season is accurate, we need to riot. That's absolutely absurd. It just emphasizes to everyone that this system is rigged. Join a conference or piss off.
Yeah, I think people are going to get more and more anti-Notre Dame with this stuff, and it's not a great look. Now, but I will say this, every fan base would be doing this. If Michigan State got snubbed like this, everybody would be upset. And I don't mind, like I wouldn't want to, if I were a team, I wouldn't want to go to a bowl game that wasn't in the playoff if you thought you were a playoff team. There's no point in that. I wouldn't play either. So I would do what Notre Dame's doing. But I also understand why they're annoying.
I mean, I'm laughing at their suffering, but I'm also like on their side. I get why you would complain about it. I think you can be both, I guess. Not Thomas next. Took a bit of a hiatus from listening during the Jonathan Smith tenure. What? we get punished because of him?
It's not fair. It's
Michael Bolton syndrome there. What the fuck is this?
Anyway, the same thing.
Back just in time to catch Couch's take. The Kohler should hurt himself soon to catch a red shirt. There's no hotter take, but I'll try with this. Smith would still be the coach if he hadn't have brought Childs. Nah.
Right. I mean, if he had if he had had Sam Levitt, or if he had a quarterback who could win a couple more of those close games, you're right. I mean, if Jonathan Smith had won 6 games this year, if Jonathan Smith at the end of this year had beaten, and I didn't think this necessarily at the time, but I do now. I think if he had beaten Minnesota, Iowa, and Maryland, and gotten a 6 wins with 3 wins there at the end of the year in November, I think he's still the coach. I'm pretty sure of it.
Sounds awful. Scotty Green's El Camino. I'm guessing Jay Batt knows Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. Read an article that he drives defensive coordinators crazy. Seems highly regarded. Maybe leverage the relationship and throw $2 million a year at him. And bonus. Couch, I just went to New York City for a long weekend to get the full Christmas experience. Even went to see the Rockettes. I told my wife, you know who would love this? Graham Couch. And she said, is he the one that stole the cat?
That's
overkilling a gay guy? I mean, that's her first thing.
That's what I'm thinking, though. This is how I had to get rid of the gay guy thing. I mean, I don't want to be known as the guy.
Get a timestamp. I don't need that one.
I don't want to be known as the guy who actually didn't push a gay guy down the stairs, but I don't want to be known for that. I'd rather be known for stealing a cat.
Who has to explain it, though? I think that's my favorite part is you have to tell people. Like, you go for a while, and you're like, all right, I should probably tell people I really didn't kill a gay guy.
Yes.
Probably should say that.
Yes. I mean,
we all know. All right.
Okay.
It's just funny that you have to. You feel like,
As long as we're clear on this. To your first point, I do think this speaks to the idea of, hiring people who have given you problems before. whether it be Buster Faulkner or somebody that you faced or somebody in their tree, or, you call and you know coordinators and people you've talked to who at even smaller levels, like who's I'll give you an example of this. When I covered Western Michigan and lived in Kalamazoo.
No kid.
Yeah. Bill Cubitt, his first coordinator hire there was Scott Schaefer, who was an excellent defensive coordinator. Didn't wind up having a good run as a head coach and got railroaded at Michigan by Rich Rod. But he was the guy who was on Harbaugh's staff at Stanford when they upset USC without a whole lot of talent. But before that, he was at Western Michigan for 2 years, and he had been at Northern Illinois previously, and Cubitt had faced him as an offensive coordinator when he'd been at Western before and things like that. And he just remembered, like, that guy's defenses give me problems. It drives me nuts. And so when he got a head coaching job, he hired him. And that's the stuff when you've been around and you have a Rolodex and you have memories of games and offenses that you think hurt you or were unique when you were studying. Keep in mind, these guys scout opposing offenses all the time. And there's got to be ones where you go, boy, I really like what this guy does, or I really like this guy's mind or how that worked. And so I'm very curious to see who he hires.
Thomas, I love that the MSU hockey team is so ready to play an intense, chippy rivalry game, but they need to keep their heads and play more disciplined if they want to live up to their billing this year, because Friday was pretty rough.
Yeah, I missed Friday's game. I was at Solari's holiday party. But
it still happened?
It still happened. Yeah, it still happened. It's a good. It was a good party. It was good to see some people. But I will.
Some audio from it.
I will. The top of the Big Ten in hockey is really good. Unfortunately, there's only like 6 home games left and 4 games left for the playoffs. Somehow most of January and February just not anywhere near East Lansing.
Stupid. Sparty Barb, number 1, it sucked being rinkside at Munn on Friday, watching the cheaters from down the road completely punk your team by out-hustling them and controlling the puck. But congrats to Nightingale for a tremendous job getting the team to refocus for the bounce-back win at Yost. What a roller coaster of a take there. 2, the loss to Duke was a gut punch, but adversity creates champions. And 3, MSU basketball should continue home-and-home series with high-level out-of-conference programs every year. Creates a great experience for players and high-level games for fans.
I totally agree. And I think, if some of these things are going to go away a little bit, like the Maui Invitational, which is 3 games, over Thanksgiving, and you're doing more 2 and 1 game deals, there's more opportunity for that. Now, Duke was just a return game for the Champions Classic being in Durham during the COVID year. But you should do more of these. And Arkansas is a true home and home, and I love that. I mean, the Michigan State will play down there next year. And I think every year, this year you wind up having these 2 great games. But if every year you've got 1 on the road and 1 at home, and I know scheduling is tricky, but that should be the goal. Like every year there's at least 1 of these games at home against a marquee opponent or a really good program that people appreciate. And every year, you're on the road for 1 and what's a really difficult learning experience. I think those are valuable things.
Chris next. Number 1, a close loss even at home to the Dukies is better than a Big Ten loss. And 2, MSU hockey showed grit, bouncing back from nearly 5 scoreless periods to split with scum. And 3, the committee stays contradicting themselves. Bama gets blown out and stays in, but BYU, Notre Dame both drop. Either Bama or BYU both make it, or neither should.
The conference championship games are tricky, right? The idea that you get this new data point, but other teams don't have to play, so they don't get punished, and you do. The problem is if you play like shit, you should get punished, and BYU got hammered, right?
So are the conference games done?
I think eventually. I think they're pretty
eventually.
Close to
I mean, like next year we're done with them, right?
Well, I don't know what the TV contracts say in terms of the television is the reason they exist. So television will decide when they're done, I guess. Certainly, if the more the playoff expands, the less likely they're to be around. I think it's a really easy way to get control of the calendar to go. You start everything a week earlier in college football, and so the week before Thanksgiving, you're done with the regular season. And then if depending where you're at, you're either starting with playing games the following week, or that's what I would like to see more of. If you're going to do, if the following week, if you could make it so that game was not just a conference championship game, but there was some sort of more what Petiti said. The problem with what Petiti wants in terms of the Big Ten has a certain amount of auto qualifiers and to the playoff, and that what is years like this where the Big Ten doesn't deserve 4 teams. They deserve 3, and they get 3. And in Premier League soccer, and I understand that's the model. Like in European soccer, you have 4 or 5 teams automatically get in the Champions League, and what you'd have to do though is you'd have to make it based on the previous year or whatnot, where that changes. You don't always, this year you're getting 4, but you sucked last year, so you only get 3 next year, and another league gets the extra. You'd have to do something like that. I'm not saying there's not a way to do it, but I don't think the Big Ten automatically getting 4 and the Big 12 getting 2 is fair. I think not knowing what those leagues are going to be ahead of the season, you can't predetermine more deserving teams in the Big Ten because you get years like this where they don't exist.
Beppe Plum next. Number 1, I like MSU hockey. 2, I like when Fitz said it's a rebirth. And 3, I want to like Coach Sig, but he looks like a wart growing on Bo Ryan's left half of its scrotum. Jesus.
It's rough.
He should be the Michigan coach. What a piece of standardized test this guy is. And 4, I like this MSU hoops team.
Boy, a wart growing on the left half of a scrotum. If you called me that in middle school, I would have cried. Pretty sure. Yeah.
Soft.
No.
Yeah.
Do you ever
way.
you ever cry in middle school? Did anybody ever pick on you to the point you cried?
I did not picked on. I got kicked in the balls, like on the playground, and that's when the lunch lady had to carry me off. I was.
Well, I don't know
sobbing.
this story. I don't think you
told this. Yeah. I told this recently.
Really?
Yeah, we got kicked in the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, story worth telling.
But not being. No, I was made fun of, but I didn't cry till I got home.
When you got home, you cried because it was embarrassing, or because
well, of course.
Yeah,
when you get ripped on and goofed on as a kid,
it's the worst.
You got a weird ear and a lazy eye, and you go to middle school, and kids can be absolutely brutal, but you don't show them.
This is why social media can't exist for middle schoolers, because at least you get to get away from it and go home, and you get some refuge. The fact that middle schoolers today go home and now it's on social media,
I couldn't imagine.
I'm telling you, I'm not advocating cocaine for children. But I will say that if we don't allow cocaine, we shouldn't be allowing social media for children. I think they're just as bad. Like, let's.
Now that should have been your first take.
Sorry. Yeah.
Steve, cocaine for children. Steve Waite, number 1, it's year 3. There should be a solid strength program in place that has MSU women's basketball consistently scoring through contact, finishing at the rim, and defending the rim. But alas, it's still a huge and obvious issue until MSU can will its way to points in the paint. It will not challenge for a Big Ten title or get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. And 2, Pat Fitzgerald appears to be retaining assistance from Jonathan Smith's staff out of necessity to get his program in place quickly, but it isn't instilling confidence that the win-loss ledger will change much in 2026. Continuity can be an asset, but didn't Coach Fitz suggest during the Game Day podcast that he had multiple resumes? Presumably from quality coaches anxious to join him, waiting to learn of those hires.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be a mix. I don't think, we're talking at this point maybe 3 coaches staying on. So we'll see what it looks like when it's maybe 4, I think, actually 4 probably. That's a third of his staff, so to speak, so in terms of coaching staff. And Let's see what it looks like. And one of the things, I think it could take a moment, but right now he's probably working on it more than he was last week when you're trying to get that recruiting class in place. He did say in an ideal world, if this had happened a few weeks earlier, you get the staff in place. But the way the signing day is now and the player procurement part, like the real focus for him is players and retaining. And now the question is, some of those players probably want to know who's going to be your offensive coordinator and what that's going to look like. And so I think you've got to be able to do 2 things at once here.
Peasy, more like Notre Dame, am I right? Imagine thinking you're too good for the Pop-Tart Bowl and bonus. Free Mo Salah.
Do you know who Mo Salah is?
He's a soccer player.
That blew me away that you knew that.
Why? Why? I'm not going to act like I don't know people. Like, I know soccer is, believe me, I've been inundated with this shit, or people want you to watch, or he's in my Twitter timeline. I'm not going to act like I'm bigger than soccer or something. Like I don't know certain guys that are, or maybe you've talked about it or something. I just don't prefer not to waste my time watching it,
Mo Salah's,
for you guys.
Mo Salah's comments after their latest game where he did not play were, I don't know, he acting like he's too big for the dressing room a little bit. I think he has not played well, and he does not play defense. I do not blame them for benching him. Is that what they call it in soccer?
They call the locker room the dressing room?
Did I call it the dressing room just now? Yeah.
That's what the soccer people call it?
I think so. I don't know. I just
all right,
did.
now I really, really hate it. Dressing room. Skylar Verdon, Graham, you can't complain about FIFA if you give them money for the World Cup. You're not the only one who I see doing this. But if them taking advantage of fans and charging insane ticket prices pisses you off, then don't buy tickets, or otherwise I don't want to hear you complain.
Yeah, we're not going to complain. It is a turnoff. It's been a conversation. So my buddy Scott and I are going to go to the World Cup this summer, and we're excited about it. And we've had a joint checking account, savings account for like several years, putting $25 a paycheck in, and we have like $4,000 because we knew this was going to happen. We knew it was going to be expensive, and so we knew if we just looked at the price overall and didn't have anything saved, we'd be like, well, we're not spending that. That's ridiculous. What we've struggled with is the way FIFA gouges and what these prices are going to talk. And I think we're going to do this despite how we feel, and we don't feel great about that just because we want this experience. And we're going to spend probably $1,500 each of that. So like we're going to spend we're going to spend $3,000 of the $4,000 total just on a couple tickets to get good seats at games, and we're going to hate ourselves for it. But it's something we want to do.
We get gouged everywhere. I mean, the Lions games.
FIFA is an especially egregious, awful bunch of fucksticks. It is. Don't get me wrong. I will probably just pee on a FIFA sign at some point, or something FIFA related. I will try to urinate on.
Scott Powers to get some video of that, or at least a picture.
Yeah, I will.
Getting arrested. All right, Dave Lakin. No love lost here for Notre Dame not making the playoffs. Weak schedule. If they played MSU schedule, they would have had at least one more loss. I said many years ago that if they didn't join a conference, the Big Ten should have stopped playing them entirely. And from Munfield Keg. So glad Notre Dame was left out of the playoff. Their arrogance is declining. A bowl bid is also hilarious. I get that bowls and bowl season are pretty much a joke now, but it is still arrogant as hell to decline a good one. I just wish they could somehow get fined for it.
There is an anti-Notre Dame, and I understand the anti-Notre Dame sentiment because they've always we got our own TV network. We can live above it. Somehow we got all these other Catholics to fall for this, even though they didn't go here and everybody loves our school. I don't know. I mean, I don't even understand I shouldn't say that. They have the great golden helmet, the golden dome. I get that. They have the great fight song, which is also, I've got the story wrong. I was thinking it was the same fight song as Saco, my dad's old high school in Saco, Maine, which only our friend from Southern Maine would understand, but I think that might have been the Navy fight song. Anyway, fix that in post.
No chance.
No. Yeah. No,
that stays in.
I understand why Notre Dame's doing what they're doing, but I also understand why nobody likes it.
You're the best, dude. For Kevin from Rochester Hills, number one, Notre Dame would have made the playoffs if Rudy was there. And two, MSU was outcoached in the second half against Duke. And three, Fears would be a great player if he could score.
Fears had a bad scoring game, but the man still had 13 assists and 1 turnover, and he scored plenty in other games. This was not a good experience. I think he is a great player. I think he's a great point guard. I think he's an okay scorer, and I think we'll see that as the year goes on. I do think MSU was outcoached in the second half. I think they weren't great at adapting to the zone, but I also think a couple things. That foul's called when Carson Cooper drives. If there's a couple. There was another foul that was called that led to a Duke three-pointer, or a travel that wasn't called that led to a Duke three-pointer, if I'm getting that right. There were some things that really messed that up. By the way, also, my dad went to high school in Westbrook, Maine, just because I know our friend from Southern Maine is going to look that up, and now
I was going to ask.
I didn't want to get that incorrect. Not Saco's where we vacation.
Jay Riemenschneider, Michigan basketball will leave Breslin on January 30th undefeated and will finish the regular season with only 2 losses.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Mark Osterman. Oh,
yeah. I mean,
I listen to Tom.
No, they're phenomenal. They are, and I'm curious to see them now. Some of the analysis after they played Rutgers, which has a Ken Palm rating like the lowest they played. Rutgers awful this year. But they are built to blow people out, and I want to see them get challenged. They were great against Gonzaga. It's a great team. It's a great team. I'm looking forward to seeing them night in and night out in the Big Ten, what it looks like. We miss Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. There you are, guy. Sorry. Texas Tech is exactly who MSU needs to model after. Non-traditional program that's a sleeping giant that got serious and bought a nasty D-line, all while having a no-name coach like Jerry Maguire or whatever his name is.
I don't know what his name is, actually. I can't remember. There are lots of things. The big thing is the D-line. That's where, in the line of scrimmage, it's just really simple, right? You got to win on the offensive line and defensive line. I think the offensive line should become what MSU is known for, and they should do everything they can for that. The D-line to some degree, too. And when you're going to spend resources in the portal, If you don't have the defensive line or offensive line in place, you got to do it.
Mark Osterman next. Number one, this MSU basketball team could end up being a tougher out in the tourney versus last year if Scott finds his shot some more. Carr finding it would help too. The length and athleticism they have makes them a good matchup for most teams. Izzo still hasn't figured out how to beat a zone, by the way. And two, having said that, I think Jace was a bit short-sighted on going pro. Could have built a lasting legacy and been one of the only father-son duos to win a national championship, much less at the same school. I would get it if he couldn't have gotten a bag staying in college or if his family needed the money. And from Jimbo Jones. MSU basketball is a sophomore season Jace Richardson away from a national championship, but Jordan Scott lifts them to a Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, Jace would have been perfect. And, if Izzo's going to win a second national title, not only you need some luck on your side, but part of it is you need all that to sort of come together, right? It's if you get that year where Jaren Jackson comes back, and he nearly did, and now he's on that 2019 Final Four team with Cassius Winston, with Jaren Jackson and Xavier Tillman, like, okay, that or you get a year where Jace Richardson happens to come back, like that can make the difference. And when you look at what he's doing in the NBA, he's playing a little bit. He played 16 minutes, 21 minutes, 10 minutes, and 6 and 4. He's getting a little bit of time. I'm not sure what he thinks. Like, I think he'll be fine in the NBA. I'm sure there's some lonely nights, though, where he wishes he was still playing for Michigan State.
Sam the Man next. MSU is in Duke's tier in terms of overall team quality, but they just didn't execute down the stretch. Carr had a rough outing. The outside shooting was woeful, and he missed some important free throws. Fears and Ugachukwu really need to add a pull-up jumper and a floater/runner to the repertoire. I genuinely believe Jace Richardson would have put up 20-plus against that Duke team, and this was the first game where I really felt they missed Holloman.
Yeah, Holloman would have been interesting on this team because he would have started. He would have gotten to play, he would have played about 12 minutes a game at point guard and 16 minutes a game at two guard, and could have been a really good player. I also think, though, like, I'm curious to see what happens with Jordan Scott. Like, I want to see what his ceiling is this year. There is something to having that sort of length. Now, you can argue he's better at the three because of some of the, ball handling. He's not great there, and he moves. But I don't know. I really like the lineup with the kind of the core four in him. And defensively, I think it has a chance to be more elite than it would be with Holloman. But I agree. If they had Holloman, they'd be better off.
Scott Yu, the Caleb Glenn injury was felt in that game for the first time this season. Shows the thin margins which MSU has in its depth without him on top of the Cam Ward injury. Without Glenn, you lose the ability to effectively absorb the Ward injury against top teams. You see the domino effect of Carr and Kohler and Cooper all the way down, stream effects of increased minutes here and there. That decreases the sharpness and attention to detail.
Yeah, having both those guys, like, they're different players. And I think it's interesting to listen to Izzo talk about Caleb Glenn because Caleb Glenn will be on the scout team by the end of this year. Like, he's already, like, dunking in practice, but they're not going to waste a year of eligibility for sort of a playing a little bit role. He's got 2 years left, and they're going to maximize it. And I think MSU's hoping they get those 2 years out of him. And I'd be very surprised if a guy who rehabbed his whole year at MSU, who's already transferred twice, if he doesn't stay. But you never know with these guys. And the Cam Ward injury was big because Cam Ward, we just seen how effective he can be. Even in that first game, he hurt himself against North Carolina, how effective he was. And so they need him to be healthy. And I would do, they made this mistake with Keith Appling years ago, and Keith Appling was in a more important position, which made it harder. But do not let a risk injury linger. And right now, before Big Ten play, if you need to just let him sit till Christmas, then let him sit till Christmas. Get that 100% right.
John Naughty. Number one, Graham looked really, really hungry during the MSU game, but he refused free food. I was willing to buy. Defiant, he said the only Groovy Donuts would do, and the Breslin needs to sell Groovy Donuts for Graham's sake. And columnists need to eat too. And two, I'm not the smart kid in class or anything, but maybe it would be a good idea for MSU athletics to make a lot of money renting out the concession areas in Breslin to Five Guys, Buddy's Pizza, or whatever, so they could have like a food full-time court during the week and during games. Surely the rent would be they would get from big companies would be more than whatever they make selling pretzels 15 times a year during home games.
So, like, you could walk into it would be kind of cool. Like, think about it, because the Breslin Concourse is nice, and it's the doors are usually locked. But once you're in there, you could see how it would be a nice food court for students. You know, sort of like they have the International Center and other things like that. You could have places that were just open all the time. That would be a cool thing. John, you're onto something.
Original Dark Mantonio, too bad Michigan football doesn't have a coach with the likes of Brandon Naurato and Dusty May. I just think Sharon ain't it. And puzzling take, how could one player be so good yet simultaneously so bad in the same game? Looking at you, Jeremy Fears.
A lot of assist-first point guards. I've seen it before. Yeah, it's if you're Michigan State, you want Sharon Moore to last. You want, because I don't think anybody fears him. It's not that they can't recruit with him. It's not. I think people just feel like his ceiling is beneath making another run at a title and developing great quarterbacks. So that's the sense. Now, he may prove people wrong, but if you're Michigan State, you do not want things to spiral to where they get rid of him.
Matty B, maybe it'll work out, but Fort is another example of settling and not doing everything you can to get a number 2. Good player, but this will be a big miss and another almost good enough year if Scott doesn't develop enough.
Yeah, getting the most out of Scott means a ton. Or Tang, Kurt Tang could still be a guy that becomes a really good shooter for you. Defensively, I think he's got some things that just aren't there. But no, I can't argue with you.
Josh Rhodes, who wins a one-on-one game to 21? Couch or the Rube?
In what sport? I'm assuming basketball.
Is there another 21? You going to play football?
Ping pong. 21. That's who would win in ping pong?
I don't know. I haven't played ping pong in a while.
Then I would win.
Last time I was at my father-in-law's, I mean, he's got a ping pong thing on there. But, yeah, I haven't played hoop in a while either. So
in college, get me. Yeah, in college, I was the best of the non-Asians and Mexicans in my dorms.
Dude, you can't do that to me. You can't do that, all right? We're doing this live here. Oh, my God.
I'm just saying. I mean, everybody knows what I'm saying. I mean, I was in the dorm tournament. My roommate and I each got to the semifinals, and we ran into ethnicities that you just can't beat in that sport. It's fine. It's no problem.
All right. You can't do that, though. Fart Soup, number 1. In 10 years' time, couch reverse white flight platform will become more controversial than the Epstein list or World War II intermittent camps. 2, not a hot take.
Internment camps.
Whatever.
Close.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, I still have tears. 2, not a internment. 2, not a hot take, but this question can't wait. During his press conference, Izzo referred to some members of the media that only sit up there on Twitter and that the real media come to practice. Who is he referring to? Harns, Comp, or Rico Beard?
So at the practices, in the practice gyms at Breslin, there is this little area where there's a couple of rows of with areas you can set up a laptop, almost desks overlooking the just right above the practice court. And there are people who are doing work. I mean, our schedule can't completely be, sometimes you have stuff you got to do, but most people are.
Is this an answer?
Yeah.
Oh.
Most people are having, there's some conversations and stuff, but, I watch the basketball. Other people are watching practice. Izzo does look up there from time to time, and I'm sure he sees some heads buried in computers, and that's what he thinks is happening. People are just tweeting away. But that's not always what's happening. But he doesn't. Look, practices are open. He gives you almost an hour of a practice, before every game, and it's important you watch those things because you do learn, even though a lot of that's off the record, you can ask about it. You see things that you're able. You do learn stuff from there, and it is something you don't get at many other programs, and it's valuable.
All right. Sparty Party 94. There needs to be a full reset on sports announcers, and Gus Johnson needs to be launched to the moon. Dude went silent once Ohio State pulled away in the game, and Saturday during the Big Ten Championship football game, he and Joel somehow managed to slip in how great Michigan basketball is this year. Hashtag fuck the blue wall.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Welcome to the blue wall.
I think Gus has lost it, and Gus used to be okay, but Gus has lost it. And I think a lot of people. Was it a Big Ten championship game, Michigan State, Iowa, or whatever it was, where Gus just had zero energy or what? So it's been 10 years now. I think Gus has lost it for a while. I'm just not Klatt does not bother me. I think he's sort of in his prime. I understand he does a lot of Michigan games, so people don't love him. But Gus to be his lost.
Klatt loves himself, though.
Who doesn't love themselves?
I mean, Klatt. No, I think Klatt's good at his job, but I've met the guy before, and you could tell. Yeah, with the Big Ten media days, he was going around. I've met him and talked to him. You just tell that he's just very into himself, and it's just if you're a normal guy like me, you're like, fuck this guy. Like nothing personal. Richard Kane submitted for consideration as the most important hire or most important person ever at MSU. John Hanna. If he had not raised MSU's national profile, maybe none of the athletic glory of Biggie, Duffy, Mason, Judd, Perlis, Izzo, D'Antonio ever happened.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And this is one of the things when Jay Batt talks about like the most important thing ever in the school, and you've been there 6 months, and you're from North Carolina. That not a lot of.
It's just comforting words.
Yes, but it makes
us feel good.
Not exactly accurate. Yeah.
Hans Jurgen, number one, encouraging loss. I was hoping for an undefeated season and sub-planning the 76 Hoosiers as the last undefeated team. And 2, I'm devastated. An undefeated season will not happen in my lifetime. I have nothing to live for except shitting on Graham. 3, Notre Dame, you arrogant fucks. You think you're too special to join a conference? Well, you're especially left out of the playoffs. Bonus. Another loss due to a zone defense. Maybe we should develop one. It's not like we used a zone defense in the most famous game in NCAA history or anything.
That's the Magic Bird game in '79.
I remember that.
Yeah. Were you born then? Were you born?
I was. No. Fuck no. I was not.
Yeah.
Still in my mother there.
Yeah. Same. I don't even know if I was conceived. I don't want to think about that.
Still in my dad's ball bag. I don't know how far I want to go back.
Yeah, it's not.
In McDonald's parking lot, almost ready to get fired out.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, answer you need.
Oh, God, that's awful. Yeah.
Well, it's true. That's how it happened. Jake Hawkins, number one, great, hard-fought game Saturday. I know it was going to be tough against Duke, but damn it, we had him. Don't understand why our key shooters like Kohler didn't attempt a 3 in the second half or put them in position to, and of course, we had to battle the damn Zebras. And 2, Notre Dame declined the bowl invitation because of being left out of the college football playoff. Here's 2 ideas. A, join a conference. Or B, stay independent, but 8 regular season games are against Power 4 conference teams. That's 2 teams each from ACC, the Big Ten, Big 12, and SEC. And 3, Graham, while it is true that most kids are stupid, every time you say that, I think back to Home Alone when Marv said, he's a kid. Kids are stupid.
It's a great line.
And Hawk ended it with a bunch of HAs. That's ha 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 ha.
Home Alone is a great rewatch this time of year.
It's only the only time to rewatch it. Isn't it?
Yeah. But it never when it comes on, I'm like, I want to see that. In the certain scenes, you can come in and out of it. It's
Which
fantastic.
one's Trump in? Is he in the second one?
He's in the second one in New York. Yeah. And to the one problem with and I don't mind the idea of playing 2 teams each from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. But they have this contractual deal with the ACC, and the ACC not being very good and playing those teams against those games against those teams doesn't help them either.
Hawk for college football commissioner.
Absolutely.
Hawk. Jerk guy to end this thing here. Thank God. Number 1, the Duke loss will give Izzo the ammunition to get this team rolling in Big Ten play. And 2, the Big Ten really needs a new name now that they have 18 frickin' teams.
Yeah, it's the branding, right? Other teams have changed their name as their league's grown. I don't know that you can ever do that with the Big Ten, but the Big 18, and plus you get to the Big 18, it'll be the Big 20 soon. Just that's why they changed their logo to that, just big or whatever it is. That's ridiculous. That I don't know. It'll never happen. They're the Big 10. Be funny if they lost like 12 teams and we're like 6, and then
That's so chill.
I don't know what I'm. Are you going to play the final music here? Or are we just going to say it? I'm out of stuff, man. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for producing our show. I told you the end of the show would deliver.
Yeah.
And we appreciate, of course, Muskox quality flannels. Go muskox.com. Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. Think about it for holiday gifts. Just get yourself one. It's a great time of year for that. Also, appreciate Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. We will be back on Wednesday and look forward to it. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.